defending the rotating globe Earth. He's been in over 530 debates. Ex-Royal Navy nuclear engineer and owner of YouTube's stupidest haircuts. He says that flat Earth are a cult of idiots who think they are smarter than the brightest minds in the world and are a danger to the vulnerable. It's FTFE. Defending the flat, stationary Earth. He's an accomplished audio engineer, and now he has come to challenge one of the most experienced flat Earth debaters on YouTube. When asked for a quote about the globe Earth, he simply said, "No curve, no problem." It's Joe Redmond. I'm Johnny O from The Plot Hole on YouTube and RockMetalTalk.com. You can find links to more of me in the description box down below. I'll be moderating tonight's debate. Now, cue that intro.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Boom! All right, everybody, welcome to The Plot Hole, or Fight the Fighters channel. One of those two is correct. What am I doing here for on FTFE's channel? I hear all of you asking. I'm here to make sure that these two gentlemen keep the gloves on and keep the blows above the belt. That's right, we're moderating a flat Earth debate. Let's have some buns. You know, we're gonna have some buns. While having buns, we're also gonna have a little bit of fun here. So we're gonna give everybody just a second to kind of introduce themselves, let you know who they are, what they're about. We'll start with our guest, Joe Redmond. If you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, take just a couple of minutes and do that.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Appreciate you having me, Johnny. My name's Joe. Most people call me Jay or JR. I'm a recording artist here from Chicago. I currently co-run High Society Studios out here in Montgomery area. I'm also the co-host of a podcast, the Higher Burning Podcast. First episode is launching July 31st. Be on the lookout for that. Yeah, been a globe earther my whole life, and 5 years ago came across the truth, and here we are. Let's get it.
All right, and on the other side of the ring, we have the cat. Oh, wait, no, he's not the cat man, but he is a fat man. Fight to Flat Earth. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I was Fight the Tight Shirt. I fought that tight shirt and I won. I'm doing good. Johnny, thank you very much for taking control tonight and keeping me in check. This is quite interesting for me because, you know, I'm a dumpster fire kind of guy, and you know, I have a lot of fun poking at the flat earthers and stuff, but I've agreed with Joe that I'm going to be on my absolute best behavior. So I'm happy that you can be here to kind of keep me in check. Just so everyone knows, Johnny is in complete control of the call today. It's all Johnny. I don't have any control over mute or anything. If I'm bad, Johnny's going to tell me off as well.
You'll know who, just to prove a point.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I've got to unmute myself now.
See,
there we go. I even need to unmute myself. So thank you, Johnny. You all know who I am. I'm FTFE. I'm from the channel that does the stupidity what the Joker did to Robin. Man, Batman needs to be investigated by social services, I swear. So tonight we're going to have a actual debate where I'm going to do my best to be on my absolute best behavior. Joe, thank you for taking the time. I know you're a very busy man. Now back over to Johnny to run the show.
All right, we are going to run this in a more traditional debate style. Each person will have 10 minutes to present their opening arguments, and then we're going to go into a 10-minute, 3-point presentation, directly followed by a rebuttal, and so on and so forth. And then we'll get into a little bit of an open discussion. If you have questions, do put them in the side chats. I'll do the best that I can to get to as many of those questions as possible. You can also email me your questions at theplothole1@gmail.com or super chat them in. It's probably the best way. Not because I get paid anything, because I'm doing this out of the sheer love of my heart for my own self-deprecation. Anyway, that being said, Joe has agreed to go first. We will give him 10 minutes, and we will start when you are ready, Joe.
Sure. So, it's pretty simple, guys. If we're going to make the claim that the Earth is flat and that it's motionless, we're pretty much also making the claim that those in places of authority or positions of power are teaching us, whether by hook or by crook, the exact opposite of what is to be true. We're pretty much also saying if the world is flat and motionless, that the entire world, no pun intended, is a giant conspiracy, right? So if all of us here can just be brave, just be honest, I think we can kind of find a middle ground here. Even if we wholeheartedly disagree, I have plenty of friends who do not believe the earth is flat. And, you know, our relationship hasn't changed one bit. We have healthy debates and we can talk about the topic because they're just open and honest people. A lot of times we get into these debates and these arguments and it's just a lot of arrogance and pride, honestly, from both sides. And there's just no need for it. Let the evidence be what it be and you either accept it or you don't. But hopefully we can kind of just keep it kosher, just for the sake of being human. So a good starting point, I think, is to just ask the question, is it possible to find examples of people in places of authority who have abused that authority, specifically by means of education or miseducation? Now, I know Fight the Flat Earth is in the UK area. I'm here in America. And if you know anything about America, America's built on lies. And I'll just give you a few. To this day, marijuana is being listed as a Schedule I narcotic, meaning not only is it dangerous, but it has no medical benefit according to the DEA. When we all know that marijuana and hemp as a whole has thousands of uses, including use for medicine. And not only that, but the same government who tells us marijuana is bad for you tells us, or I shouldn't say tells us, but promotes tobacco. And they even sponsor and subsidize tobacco farms, right? That's just one example. You go back to the founding of this country, you talk about slavery. You had thousands upon thousands of Black people being taught by their masters that not only was it their destiny to be slaves, but that it was biblical. And as an ironic side point, the same people who are telling you that the Bible tells you it's your destiny to be a slave won't allow you to learn how to read and write. So the obvious question is why? And it's pretty clear. If I was able to read and write as a slave, I could read that what my master was telling me wasn't true, and then I could write to somebody else to spread the word. That's just another example. We go through other conspiracies that have been documented to be true, right? Talk about Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin, a complete farce. Talk about Project Prism. The government since 2001, the U.S. government and other governments, but specifically the U.S. government, has been spying on its citizens without consent, right? And we know this to be true now. You talk about Watergate with Nixon. You talk about MK Ultra. You talk about Operation Northwoods, Operation Paperclip. These are things that were once labeled conspiracy, but we know for a fact, due to the internet, due to FOIA, due to other means, that these are actual events that took place. So anybody, in my opinion, at the end of the day, who is claiming that a leading authority, especially one in the US, which will refer to NASA as a leading authority regarding this topic, if anyone is going to argue that a leading authority isn't capable and hasn't already been shown to abuse their power by means of miseducation, you're just not being an honest intellectual person. And those are the kind of people that I'm just not here for. So hopefully during this debate, we can keep it honest and we can keep it intellectual. That also leads me to the heart of the topic, right? Could this conspiracy, right, the shape of the earth, could it be in that list of these lies that we've been told over the years? Or is this something that conspiracy theorists, right, like there's a lot of people in the conspiracy world that think it's a psyop and that it's used to basically cause civil war between conspiracy theorists, right? And if you think about the entire argument of flat earth versus globe earth, in my opinion, not only is it the most important conspiracy that's out there, but it's also the easiest to prove. If you think about before the internet, we didn't have the ability to really gauge information in real time. My parents, who are in their 60s and 70s, the TV and mainstream news was gospel truth to them. If it was on the TV, it had to be true. Now, you fast forward 30, 40 years, and obviously people my age, I'm 31 now, we don't believe that at all. And we know that's not be the case. But because we have the internet, because we have whistleblowers like Edward Snowden and William Cooper, people who seem to predict events before they even happen, Now we can not only decipher information in real time, but we can actually combat that information in real time. And this is why, in my opinion, I think Flat Earth is blowing up. Just in Brazil, they have a documented 7 million Flat Earthers, documented. Now that's crazy. And if you talk about the population as a whole, that's not a lot. But 7 million people, 7 million people. And this conversation is something that isn't dying. It never died. It just died down. But this is something that is ongoing. And it's something that we should have the ability to at least entertain. I'm a wholehearted believer in Yeshua. I follow the way of Yeshua, and I read the word of Yah. So I have no problem defending my faith. I have no problem just talking about my faith. I have no problem with someone who disagrees wholeheartedly with my faith to my face, because it's rooted in truth for me. So I can have the open conversation. For some reason, when we have this conversation about globe earth versus flat earth, there's so much emotion behind globe earthers. And I think it's because at the heart of globe earth is a deeper worldview of atheism, evolution, Gnosticism, a lot of these different worldviews and ideologies that really combat with what we're talking about tonight. So at the end of the day, I think we just need to be honest about the conversation, and also realize this: the gatekeepers of the information, they're not on the side of globe earthers. Globe earthers need to understand that. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the most famous scientist in the world, freely admits that from 120,000 feet, the earth looks flat. So we need to stop making arguments that this is some conversation that is over and done with. There's no debate. There's nobody on the opposite side. There's plenty of evidence to support. It really just comes down to, what are you willing to accept as proof? Now, for me, I have to accept for proof what I can physically observe. Because, again, I'm an American. I've been lied to my whole life. My entire existence is a lie. So that's just my perspective. I hope to show just a few anomalies tonight that, kind of got me going on my journey and made me go, maybe, what if? And it's up to you guys. I don't believe knowledge is taught. I believe knowledge is caught. So I'm not here to convince you. I'm simply here to provide information. And it's no coincidence if you're here listening to my voice tonight, you're listening to Fight the Flat Earth, you're here for a reason. So take that information, enjoy the experience, and we'll go from there. I'll yield my time with that.
Okay, Johnny, you there?
All right. Let me get this restarted. All right. Craig, go ahead and unmute. Joe, I'll put you on mute. Oh, I forgot to mention to keep track of the private chat between us. That's when I'll give you guys your 60-second, 30-second, and then 10-second countdowns for time. Craig, whenever you are ready, you may begin.
Thank you. Right, so my opening is just going to be talking about why I think Flat Earth is so ridiculous. We're in an age where civilian spaceflight is literally happening. The arguments over whether Richard Branson reached the edge of space or not is irrelevant, because Blue Origin are going to go even higher, and it's getting to the stage where just normal people can go to space. There's flat earthers that are millionaires. Literally, they could buy a ticket on one of these things and end the argument for good, but they won't, because most flat earthers don't really care about truth. It's about feeling special. Most flat earthers have the need to be the ones that are the ones with the special information. And it doesn't matter what all the evidence shows. They're the ones with the special information, so they're the ones that are right, and everyone else is a moron for not being able to see it. I don't want to ad hom or strawman my opponent's position, but this is just my my interactions with over 500 flat earthers have shown me what flat earth is generally about, and it's about feeling special and looking for things to back up that feeling of being special, regardless of if that feeling of being special makes you ignorant or not. And it is ignorance, because when flat earthers come to debates, they don't really present evidence. They try to pick apart the globe model, the heliocentric model, which would be okay if they didn't just use strawmans all the time. Flat earthers will make things up about the globe model that they say are impossible, and then because those things that they say are impossible, therefore they're right. Like their misconceptions about Coriolis and what it should do. They say that if a drone hovers above the ground, well then the Coriolis force, that why isn't it just drifting away as the Earth turns? But that's not the predictions of the Coriolis. That's not what we say should happen. If a drone is just hovering above the ground, the globe Earth model says that the drone should go with it. Yeah, and it's just these basic not understanding physics that lead to the belief that the Earth is flat, because frankly there is no evidence that the Earth is flat. Throughout history there's never been a measurement of the Earth being flat, of water being flat, which is some flat earthers love to say, well, water's always flat. Well, no, it's not. I hold the position that water is never ever flat, and if you measure water, which I can present measurements over water, it's not flat. It has a convexity. Even mirrors, which are created on float glass and stuff, they actually have an arc in them that matches the curve of the Earth, which is why the Hubble had to be calibrated so much, because it's really hard to make a completely flat mirror because level pulls towards the center of the Earth. And there is no evidence for flat Earth, and there's no evidence for stationary Earth. There's no measurements that the Earth is still. All the measurements show that the Earth rotates. Simple measurements that can be recreated by pretty much anyone around the world. Whether or not flat Earthers say that NASA and all space travel is fake, there is millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of pictures from space and videos from space constantly. Every 10 minutes a new one is uploaded from Himawari, and I've not yet heard a flat earther debunk the Himawari. Now, I'm not saying that governments are completely truthful to everyone or are right. I 100% agree with Joe about marijuana. Marijuana is something that it's fucking ridiculous that marijuana is illegal. Marijuana has practically saved my life. And governments having this illegal, it's more about control. The reason it became illegal was due to, when the Prohibition era ended, they needed something else to demonize, and marijuana was the demon drug. It made all the Mexicans crazy, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, it shouldn't be illegal, and Joe's absolutely right, and it's stupid that governments do things like that is against the good of the people. But that doesn't mean that everyone's lying to us about the shape of the Earth. Just because people in power are dickheads most of the time, doesn't mean that they're going to fake what the shape of the Earth is, because it's something that is so easy to disprove, and the amount of people that would have to be involved in that lie, there's a good article I read that mathematically shows that it physically couldn't be possible with the amount of people on Earth. So basically, my ramblings there is all about the fact that the globe Earth has evidence and the flat Earth has none. And what flat earthers consider evidence is actually them just strawmanning physics because they simply don't understand. I hope Joe can bring something interesting for us to talk about. I'm going to yield the time for my intro and pass it back to Johnny.
All right. Joe, if you will, now unmute. I went off camera simply because I wanted to make sure I had a more stable connection. I noticed that when I was on, it was a little funny. Joe, you have 10 minutes to present your evidence, starting with your 3 points. Whenever you are ready.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and spend a little time just talking about a few things that Fight said. Flat earthers want to be special. They have special information. The reason I became a flat earther is because I didn't have to rely on special information to prove it or not. This is why I brought up flat earth compared to other conspiracies, like let's say 9/11, for instance. You actually have to read the 9/11 Commission. You actually have to go through structural engineering handbooks and just testimony from firefighters and things like that to actually dissect and determine what might be truth regarding the events of that day. Flat Earth is as simple as they come. To argue that there's no evidence is asinine, because it's all rooted in common sense. We don't feel the Earth spin, therefore it doesn't. We see the sun as small and local, and it behaves as such, therefore it is. The lowest anyone's ever gone in terms of depth down is 8 miles. Therefore, anything beyond 8 miles is pseudoscientific, at least from an observation standpoint. So just to make that argument again, I just don't think it's being honest. Water is never flat. You know, like these are things that like when you hear, and this is for, you know, people, you know, that I talk to, I tell them all the time, just look at the common sense. Listen to the rationales people have of why the earth is a globe. To say that water is never flat when everyone drinks a glass of water a day and sees water being level. And as you tilt the glass, you know, right, the water changes. Like, let's just be honest about it here. So again, if we're going to have the conversation, let's be intellectual and let's not straw man. There's just no point in doing that. That's craziness. There are millions of pictures from space. Even NASA doesn't claim that to be the case. They claim about, I believe, 7 or 8 photos that are genuine photographs. They admit that they have a lot of images that are computer generated, that they have to be put together from other pieces of data, but they don't admit that there's millions of photos of Earth from space. Again, that there's no basis for that whatsoever. Now, let's go ahead and jump into just a few things that I want to talk about. Again, when I look at conspiracies as a whole, when I look at these topics that we're trying to argue truth versus fiction, to me, the key is the anomalies, right? It's what is so drastically different between the two, and that's what we should examine. So for instance, we've all seen this map before, right? And let me just say before I continue, maps aren't proof for anyone. So anyone coming here and saying this is proof that the earth is flat, no. Just like someone grabbing a globe, which says on the bottom it's not for educational use, and claiming that you can use it for educational purposes, it doesn't prove anything. It's a model, right? Now, what I will admit to is this map says it's scientifically and practically accurate as it is. And so we should take it at its value, right? Now, this map, actually, I'll hold it back up. There's 2 stark differences between the world that we are told and the world that I believe that we live in. And that is the North and the South, right? In the North, that's just pretty similar in the North, the Arctic North. But the South in this map is basically an ice wall all the way around the continents. And it seems to hold the water within. If you go look up the highest landmass on Earth, it is Antarctica. So when we make the claim that Antarctica is the quote unquote edge that people want to look for, which it's not the edge because we don't know what's past Antarctica, but let's just, for, you know, kicks and giggles, say that it's the edge, right? Well, how is that possible? Well, every place that humans live on is under and within Antarctica. It's pretty simple, okay? We talk about the sun and the moon. The heliocentric model tells us that the moon is a reflector of the sun's light. This is not possible because spheres don't uniformly reflect light. I don't know if I'm able to screen share now. I don't think I am, but it's okay.
Johnny
because
can
anybody can look
permission
this
to
up for
screen share,
themselves. In fact, if I need to share pictures during the open forum, I will. But anybody can grab a sphere and shine a light on it, and you'll see that that sphere cannot uniformly reflect light. So automatically, we're given information that contradicts every simple observation that a 5-year-old can do, okay? And this is the heat of the argument here. We talk about sunsets, okay? The sun doesn't set. It's midnight right now, almost, well, it's 12:30 where Fight the Flat Earth is. The sun is still overhead. It hasn't set yet. It won't set for another 2 hours where I'm at because the sun never sets. It's always up. Flat earthers make this claim all the time, and somehow it's like, what? I can't believe it. Like, no, the sun is always up, no matter what, okay? The reason it sets is due to perspective. For instance, I can move my fist, and it looks like my fist is getting smaller. But we know that my fist is the same size, front to back, left to right. The sun is no different. The moon is no different. They set due to perspective. Again, if I could screen share, I would screen share, but there are dozens and hundreds of videos of the sun going from this size to this size in the sky overhead and carrying its light with it. If you want to believe that the sun is 93 million miles away, that's fine to believe, but let's ask some common sense questions. If the sun is 93 million miles away, if I told you that, shouldn't I also be able to tell you objects and lights and stars that are 70 million miles away, or 50 miles away, or 2 million miles away, 50 million, 60 million? We get these astronomical numbers of the sun is 93 million miles away. Nobody can measure that. Even the astronomical unit, which is used to measure the distance of the sun from the earth, has changed 3 times in 100 years. These people don't know what they're talking about. They're making educated guesses. And the arguments that Globers make, they're valid. I'm not ever going to say that a Globe Earther's arguments aren't valid because they're based on math. The model is basically reverse engineered to fit the arguments. So what we're saying is it's not the fact that the arguments are valid, they're just not sound. You can't actually take Earth's curvature and project it onto the Earth. I've got video here on the ready if I'm able to share of the Chicago skyline. I will use this one example every single time. 1, because I live here. 2, because several of my friends, including my own family members, have done the observation, and none of them are Globe Earthers, by the way, the people that I'm referring to. They think that flat Earth is crazy, and yet they've admitted to seeing the Chicago skyline clear as day from 86 miles away in Michigan. I have video proof of it right here. So we need to, again, be more honest about the information that's present. The last 2 things I'll bring up, and I'll make it quick because this argument is really simple. The stars rotate around Polaris, right? Period. We see this every day, every year, like clockwork. It's never not been the case that the stars rotate around Polaris, okay? This is not possible in the heliocentric model. When we don't occupy the same space in space for even 2 seconds, there's never been a simultaneous point in history where we've maintained the same spot in space. Therefore, it cannot be possible that we see the same stars every single night since all of recorded history, okay? And the last point, actually, you know what? I'm gonna yield my time. I'm not even gonna go into it. It's done. It's done. We're good.
All right, so just for clarity, I want to make sure we got your 3 points correct. So your 3 points are basically the sun, the distance of the sun, what was the other one?
The moon isn't a reflector
The
of
sun
the
and
sun's
the moon.
light.
Okay, I'm sorry. And then
And the stars never change in the sky. You said the sun was the first one, correct?
Just wanted to make sure I had those correct. Yes, sir.
Perfect.
The distance of the sun specifically, correct?
Yes, and the fact that it doesn't set due to the Earth's rotation, but due to perspective.
All right. Cool. All right. Fight when you are ready.
Okay.
All right. You may begin.
Excellent. Right. So I'm just going to keep it at 3 very simple points that you probably all heard me talk about.
This is your
before.
rebuttal period.
Oh, this is my rebuttal period.
5 minutes rebuttal.
Oh, right. 5 minutes rebuttal. Right. Okay. So, yeah, I wrote a list of your main points here. First of all, we'll go with the Gleason's map that you talked about as it being scientifically accurate, etc. Absolutely, it's scientifically accurate as a clock. If you go to the website that holds the patent for that, patent, Gleason's map, what you find is a very interesting thing, that Alexander Gleason himself actually said that it was based on a globe when he created that map. Let me just bring this up so you guys can see. So this is the patent page for it, and he actually explains in the patent how it is based on a globe, and it is based on distorting the aspects of a globe by extending the parallels, the lines of latitude as you get further away from the center. So if you actually go and read the patent that he put in himself when he created that map, you'll see that that map is based on a globe according to the person that actually made it. The patent address is here. Anyone can go and look at it himself. Just Control F and look for the word globe, and it literally shows you. Okay, the next point was Antarctica encircles the Earth. No, it doesn't. There is a bi-yearly yacht race around Antarctica, and they do not travel 120,000 miles. Moon, not a reflector, because it doesn't reflect light uniformly. You are correct, the moon does not reflect light uniformly. If you were to measure the lux coming from the moon, you find that the lux from the center is much higher than at the edges, showing that it is a spherical reflection, as we expect from a parallel light. You have more evidence of it being a reflector during eclipses and seeing the specific shape of it because of the way the shadow moves across it. I've actually created a demonstration in After Effects using light sources that show that the moon can reflect it as it is. I could show those later. Sunsets due to perspective. No, it doesn't. Perspective doesn't say the sun should set. I created this model in After Effects, which takes perspective into account. It has 4 cameras. The one on the top right is someone's position if they were on a flat Earth in North America. I've placed the sun approximately 5,000 miles above a flat Earth. As you can see, at no point at all during the sun's movement across the flat Earth does it set according to perspective from the perspective of the persons in North America. And recreated this model with it being as close as 100 miles, and you still see the sun due to perspective. So no, can't measure distance to the sun. Disagree. You can measure the distance to the sun using parallax when Venus or Mercury transit the sun. That's been done lots of times. Yes, it changes throughout history because our accurate measurements become more and more accurate. Chicago skyline, yeah, refraction is a thing. That's part of our model. It has to bend by light by less than 1 degree due to refraction to see the buildings across the other side of the Chicago skyline. Stars around Polaris. Number one, Polaris does move. Well, the position that they'll move around does change because throughout history there's measurements of that moving. In fact, in the 13th century, an astronomer noted that the point where they'll go around was a void. And saying it's not possible to see the same stars. We absolutely should see the same stars because all the stars that we see in the night sky are relatively close to us, traveling around the center of the galaxy with us. So their position to us stays relatively the same. And Polaris happens to be in alignment with the axial tilt of the Earth. So it will always be directly over north. Earth here, star here, moving around. So no matter where you are, you're always going to be looking up at the North Star. I think that was everything you brought up.
Alrighty. Fight. You have 10 minutes for your presentation, your 3-point presentation, whenever you are ready.
Okie dokie, right, so I am going to give 3 very basic points that people have heard me talk about quite a lot. And that is the fact that there are, number one, measurements of the Earth rotating. And it's very simple to get measurements of the Earth rotating. There is no organ or sensory perception in our body that is able to feel a constant motion. We are born on the Earth as it is rotating. We live our entire lives on the Earth that is rotating at a constant angular velocity of 15 degrees per hour. There's nothing ever that says that we should feel constant motion. The argument that we don't feel constant motion, therefore it's not moving, is physically wrong. There is no way to sense constant motion according to human perception. So we have to use other tools to be able to measure that. And of course, I can do this, and we can go to very famous flat earther Bob Nadell.
If the Earth is spinning at 1 rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. And if the gyroscope is mounted anywhere on Earth, it's going to drift. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope. It is extremely precise. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15 degree per hour drift.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So I like to use that because it's a flat earth for demonstrating what we know to be fact. And it's the device he uses an interferometric fiber optic gyroscope. Every single one of them on the planet, and there's millions and millions and millions of them, they all do the same thing. Register that the Earth rotates not only at 15 degrees per hour around its own axis, but at roughly 1 degree a day around the Sun, in the Earth's orbit around the Sun. These things are measured by it using known physical phenomenon like the Sagnac effect. And there's no explanation on a flat Earth as to why those devices in particular would pick up that movement. It only makes sense based on the way that those devices use and how every pilot, when they turn on the plane, they have to trust that these devices are doing their job. They measure rotation because it says that they do. But you don't have to trust, high-end technology. You can do what this guy did. This is a gentleman called the Gentleman Physicist, right? And he took a very famous concept of the Foucault's pendulum and recreated it in a very lo-fi type of way. He's in his stairwell of a high-rise building in America, and he has the pendulum swinging. And basically, he manages to use the fact that during the pendulum's time that it swings, it drifts, and you can measure that angle and do some basic maths to calculate your latitude on the Earth. Now, the reason you can do that is that it's a prediction of the rotating globe Earth that, based on your latitude, the straight line path of a swinging pendulum will drift a certain amount. And you can use the angle that it drifts to calculate your latitude on the Earth. Again, this is something that is explained and predicted, expected on the globe Earth, but there's no explanation for it on a flat Earth, just none at all. There's no reason that this happens, all of the time when doing an experiment like this on a flat Earth. It matches the globe prediction. You can follow it through the whole scientific method stuff if you like, but it matches the prediction of a rotating globe Earth. And if it matches one prediction and there is no explanation on the other side, you have to use logic and say, well, okay, that's demonstrating something that we can't explain if the Earth's flat. So it is explained if the Earth's a globe, maybe the Earth's a globe. So it's not just those things either. If you go to mctoon.net/spin, there's a whole list of measurements of the rotation of the Earth using all types of different gyroscopes, mechanical, electrical, ones hanging on wires using superphase fluid. There's so many measurements of the Earth rotating. Not one measurement of the Earth not rotating. No reason we should feel constant motion, so we use tools. Tools tell us that we are rotating. It's as simple as that. Evidence for something. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is gravity. Now, gravity is very important because, again, if we're talking about the heliocentric model and what that model would predict, what we on the globe side say, one of the predictions of the heliocentric model, if we're talking about gravity, is that anything of a certain mass will become a sphere because of the way gravity acts. Now, I could go through the maths of that particular prediction, but it's very, very complicated. But it is one of the predictions of gravity that it is one of the predictions of gravity that anything large enough will become a sphere, right? So, how do we know that gravity is real? Well, it's simple. There's experiments that have demonstrated gravity to be real, right? 5 experiments that quickly come to mind that I will just quickly go through are Cavendish uses the Newton's law of universal gravitational attraction to show the mass of objects will create an attractive force by having the attractive force on a horizontal plane whilst the entire instrumentation is under gravitational force of the Earth. It's replicated every year by first-year physics students and is an excellent demonstration of gravity. Then you've got the Schehallien experiment, which is kind of the same but using a large mountain in Scotland. Where they hung a plumb ball off the edge and measured the attractive mass of the The mountain is still being pulled down, but it's also pulled slightly towards the mountain. Recreated recently by a team of researchers, I think in 2004 for a documentary by the BBC, matches Newton's laws of gravitational attraction. They were actually able to use that to calculate the circumference of the weight of the Earth. Sorry. Then we've got the pound replica experiment, which is a gamma ray experiment where they fired gamma rays from the top of the tower to the bottom to test one of Einstein's predictions of relativity, that electromagnetic waves would lose energy when they're fighting against a gravitational pull, and it showed a blue shift matching Einstein's predictions for what rays, light past electromagnetic radiation should do when inside a gravitational well. Then you've got the Eddington experiment of 1919, which they used an eclipse to test test the predictions of relativity that light would bend around a massive object. So they could see the stars being bent, by the mass of the sun, and they were able to see it more accurately because of what was happening during the eclipse, and they found that it matched predictions. And then you've got obviously the discovery of Neptune, which they used perturbations in the orbit of Uranus and worked by Newton and Kepler to mathematically calculate where Neptune would be. Looked in the sky, lo and behold, there's Neptune. 5 experiments that show that gravity is a fact. And gravity says the Earth is a sphere. My final point is that all navigation is based on a globe. All of it. It's indisputable. Every pilot in the world uses globe-based instrumentation to calculate their flight plans because they use maps that are based on a globe. Long distance, you use the Haversine formula, which only works on a globe. All sea-based navigation, it's, I've done this particularly myself. I've tested the distances that the globes say to calculate fuel consumption over time based on the globe, and it worked out exactly. Even going back in time when sailors used the stars to navigate, they were still using a globe because of the way that things like sextants work. It only makes sense if you're on a globe because every 69 miles or 60 nautical miles, it's 1 degree of curvature. So that's how things like the astrolabe and sextants work. All navigation is based on a globe. Every map is based on a globe. And these are testable things. You can test the distances. It's all been done. So, polar north to south circumnavigation has been done. All the navigation is based on the Earth being a globe. And as someone that has done a lot of navigation as a sailor, I can say that this is an absolute fact that sextants only work if the Earth is a globe. So my 3 points to clarify are the indisputable numerous measurements of the rotation of the Earth. My second point was that gravity says the Earth is a sphere. My 5 experiments that demonstrate gravity to be fact. And my third point is, what did I just say? My third point was the fact that all navigation is based on a globe. And this is a testable fact, and pilots will testify to the fact that they use a globe to do their navigation. So that's my 3 points. I yield the rest of my time.
All right. Joe, let me get you back in 1 second.
Oh, let me get the right screen up. That would help.
All right. You have 5 minutes to rebut, starting now.
Cool. I'll start with the latest point. Navigation depends on the globe. 99% of telecommunications is due to fiber optics. Being a former employee at Apple, I literally, not supposed to, but I have documented proof that telecommunications involves triangulation between cell towers. So that's how we navigate. Prior to having that technology, the cultures that were smarter than us, because mainstream science wants you to believe that we're getting smarter when we're actually getting dumber. The people who were smarter than us, they used the stars to navigate. So there's definitely truth in that. To say that they had that information based on the globe when the Norse tradition, Hebrew, Incan, Mayan, Egyptian, Sumerian, Babylonian, all of these cultures had a stationary enclosed earth depiction within their cultures from thousands of years ago. So to even make the argument that the ancients or people from the past had any knowledge of a globe, if the Egyptians, for instance, had knowledge of a globe, that would be all over their hieroglyphs, but it's not. All we see from Egyptian mythology is that the sky is hard and that it's covered and that there is a overhead protection. All of these cultures believed in that. So to make that argument, it's not sound. Again, valid, but not sound. Experiments that infer the Earth's rotation. Any of these experiments you just mentioned have an assumption in mind, either that the Earth already rotates or that the sun is 93 million miles away. So based on that assumption, you can pretty much prove whatever you want, but you have to prove the assumption in order to then use the assumption to prove that your experiment is affirming your hypothesis. And again, because the measurement of the sun in terms of distance has changed 3 times in just 100 years, that alone is proof that these people, they're taking their best stab at trying to explain something within the confines of the information we're given, but they're not using it as definitive proof because you can't. Nobody can tell you something 93 million miles away for a definitive fact, or something quadrillions of miles away. That's ridiculous. We see the sun in the sky as a dot, 93 million miles away. But the closest star is what, 4 quadrillion miles away? We shouldn't see any stars if the sun at 93 million is a dot. It's ridiculous. So that's that argument. Gravity, again, every part about heliocentrism is affirming the consequent over and over again, based on the assumption of gravity. But even mainstream science tells you that you cannot experience the true effects of gravity until you've left Earth's gravitational field, because Earth's gravity cancels out the gravity of everything else here. So everything that we're talking about, gravity proving the shape of the Earth, first off, gravity is a concept. It's the bending of space and time. So the bending of space and time can't possibly have a determining factor on the shape of the physical ground. Okay. You also made the claim, I see 2 minutes left here. So again, gravity, you can make that assumption all day. We're saying density and buoyancy. And the reason we say that is because when you change the medium, meaning air versus water, it changes the effect of objects passing through that medium, which by far and large debunks gravity, or at least doesn't need gravity to make it make sense. Things fall because they're heavier than the air, or they float because they're lighter than water. Pretty simple. You made the claim of we can't feel constant motion. Again, we're saying there is no motion. So saying we can't feel constant motion and there is no motion, you're going to experience the same thing. What you have to do is infer motion by what we're looking at in the sky, right? So that'd be no different than looking at the top of a gym and saying, because the lights are spherical, the basketball court is spherical. The two don't have a correlation to each other. And just talking about the ring laser gyro, the ring laser gyro is sensitive to light. And we know that the sun rotates overhead at 15 degrees per hour, which gives you 360 degrees in 24 hours. So if the ring laser gyro is picking up 15 degrees per hour, it's obviously sensitive and responding to the movement of the sun, because we can see the sun moving and we can see and feel the Earth isn't moving. So that's my rebuttal. We'll leave it at that.
All righty, let's get everybody back in for our open discussion period. This is a part where I feel like I'm going to have to do a little bit more work, because both of you seem to be extremely firm in.
Oop, you there, Johnny?
In your ideas. Fourth, Craig? Yes, I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah, you cut out for just a sec.
Yeah, you cut out.
That's okay. Well, damn it. I guess I'll just have to use the power of the mute. All right, so we can read about what, back and forth open discussion about an hour and a half, give or take?
Yeah, just however long we need. Got quite a few points to go over, which is nice. Normally is just a bunch of and it looks flat.
All right. So before we start this open discussion, let's pick a couple to kind of focus on, then we can kind of branch off from there. So Craig, if you have 2 from Joe's that you would like to address, and Joe, if you have 2 from Craig you would like to address, let's start there, and then we can, like I said, we can expand as needed.
Okay, well, I'd like to talk more about gravity and what Joe was saying about that, with it being just a concept and having to make assumptions. And I'd also like to talk about Joe's response to the rotation experiments and how they're just assumptions, if that's all right to start with.
Joe, do you have any objections?
Nope.
Okay, so you say that all the measurements of rotation assume that the Earth is rotating anyway. Why do you do experiments in science?
To test your hypothesis.
How? What do you do to test your hypothesis?
Depends on what you're trying to observe.
You have to make a prediction, right? You have to use your hypothesis to
The hypothesis is the prediction.
No, hypotheses are not predictions. They're separate things. I've got a scientific paper I can cite for that if you like. I can bring it up for you. Hypotheses are not predictions. Rather, predictions are derived from hypothesis. In fact, you know what? Let me get it up so that I can actually cite my sources. So the important thing is you have to be able to make a prediction from your hypothesis, right? And you can't make a prediction without making an assumption. That's what they are. Let me just get this up so I can show you the citation. So
while you're doing that, I'm. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. Go on. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that if you just type in the scientific method in Google, which I hate Google, but Google or any search engine, there isn't a step in the 7-step process that involves predicting.
Incorrect. I have several citations that show that is the case. Let me get this up bigger for people to see. All right. So this is from a .edu site. And it's a paper on the relationship between hypothesis, predictions, and laws. And one thing it says very specifically, how do I reduce the size there? One thing it says.
Can you give a specific citation, please?
Where is it? It should be at the top. I can't see the top of the paper. I can't remember the actual. I've got it downloaded from the full PDF from the site. I can give the citation later on. But I think it was from. I've got the actual citation that this paper was from. I think it was from berkeley.edu, but I'll have to get that. But this is a screenshot I took from it, so I didn't have to show the whole thing. One thing it specifically says is that a hypothesis is not a prediction. Rather, a prediction is derived from a hypothesis, and it describes the steps that you take to get to your experiment and what you do. You have an observation, and that you generate a hypothesis for that, and then you test your hypothesis by generating a prediction. Right? You literally can't do an experiment without making a prediction. You can't just have a hypothesis and test it, because a hypothesis isn't a prediction. I mean, if my hypothesis is something simple, you can't just test some simple words. That you can test an actual prediction. A hypothesis.
Can I respond?
Yeah, sure.
So this is what I was saying before about when globe earthers make their arguments, it always has to be. It's actually the irony of what you said earlier about having special information, because any 5-year-old can go to Google and type in scientific method and go to images and see all these charts of the scientific method and the 7-step process, because it's a 7-step process.
Not necessarily.
And the only ones that show anything about the word predict are under the section termed hypothesis.
Yeah.
So again, the hypothesis is the prediction. You make an observation.
It's really
you research the observation. I let you talk. It's my turn to talk. You make an observation. You research that information. Then you make an educated guess, a prediction, based on what your question is. From there, you experiment. You collect the data. You analyze the data. You form your conclusion.
Okay, so if you look at any of those things, first off, there is no hard and fast number of steps to the scientific method. There really isn't. When flat earthers are going on about the scientific method, they're literally talking about the very basic version that you're taught in high school. There is no hard and fast amount of steps to the scientific method, and the scientific method varies from industry to industry. But you cannot do an experiment without a prediction to base that experiment on. You have to predict a future event and then do an experiment to see if that happens. Now, all of the sites that you're talking about, I will admit that if you just go onto Google and just look at images, there's a bunch of pictures that show steps that would go just hypothesis and experiment, but they don't really go into the depths of it. Now,
that's not true. That's not true.
It really is.
That's
And the most important thing is that any site that is a .edu site will always talk about the predictions. And when I have in front of me references from a scientific peer-reviewed paper that says that the scientific, the way of doing and getting a prediction is by generating a prediction based on the hypothesis. Random Google searches from non-educational sources don't trump scientific papers that say that thing to be true. Again, I can get you the full citation for this at the end, but this was just to demonstrate what the scientific field actually says. People in science, there's references down here that all say that you have to explain do an experiment by testing a prediction that's generated from the hypothesis. Hypothesis and predictions are not the same thing. I could also show a video from Richard Feynman.
Let's let Joe have a second to respond.
Yeah, I got you.
Let Joe have a second to respond.
Yeah, sure.
So, as I was saying before, and let's just take it a scale back here. We are taught the globe model at age 5. 5-year-olds are not reading peer-reviewed journals. They're going to Google and looking up what the basics or the consensus is about the scientific method or about natural science. Now, the conversation we're having is about natural science. So yes, the scientific method is different in different fields, but we're not having a conversation within different fields. We're talking about the natural observed phenomenon of the
there's
Earth.
No such thing
what
as
we
natural
see in
science.
I let you talk. Craig.
Sorry.
Talk.
I just heard what you said, natural science there, and I just...
Craig,
So, the conversation is about...
Let's try and hold our tongue with it. Let him get his sense out.
All good. It's all about the observed phenomenon within nature. What can we see and test for ourselves? So what I'm saying is, if that's the case, if we've been taught the globe since 5 years old, I don't need a peer review journal to discuss and define this one person's definition of the scientific method. I should be able to have a 5-year-old mindset, basically. And with my 5-year-old mindset, because this conversation is so stupid and flat earthers are so stupid and this is grade school stuff, okay, well then let's use grade school metrics. And when we do that, based on what you're saying, again, the prediction is part of the hypothesis. I'm seeing it here and you just admitted to it. Your argument is that, these sources aren't good enough. And that's the whole crux of the argument that we're saying here. It's not, the conversation is simple enough because we're taught at such a young age that we should be able to have it with the simplest form of information and research and common sense that's available.
Okay.
All right. We seem to have kind of gone off on a little bit of a tangent on arguing about the scientific method and not.
There was a reason for that.
The debate on the subject itself.
There was a reason for that, and that was in response to Joe's assumption that every experiment for the rotation of the Earth is just an assumption that the Earth is rotating. Well, yeah, of course, you have to test that assumption. That's how you know if something's true or not. So I could present a GCSE video here that's 1 minute 16 that actually explains the differences between a hypothesis and prediction. So even at GCSE, which is 15, 16-year-old, you're taught that hypothesis and predictions are different things.
Okay, so you're going back to the side point that Johnny just discussed. We don't need to talk about. So let's not.
But I'm talking about why I was talking about that. I'm just saying I could present that, but the reason I was talking about it was to counter your assumption, your thing that all the experiments are just based on assumptions, and that's you can't do an experiment without making an assumption. That was my entire point there. You literally can't do an experiment without making some kind of prediction first. So when you just dismissed all the experiments for the measurements for the rotation of the Earth, I don't accept your dismissal by saying it makes an assumption of the Earth rotating, because that's how you do experiments.
Sure, and my argument was never that the experiments are invalid. I've never once said that the experiments are invalid. They're not sound because they're based on an assumption. So if we're isolating variables and we're determining the Earth's rotation, from what I've seen, Michelson Morley, some of these other experiments, they're either looking at the lights in the sky, like the stars or the sun, and they're inferring what's happening to the Earth as a result. So again, I don't necessarily just blanketly accept that when, if we live here, if there's thousands of satellites in space, someone should be accidentally showing the Earth rotating, but all we get is CGI.
What do you mean accidentally showing the Earth rotating? There's lots of videos of the Earth rotating, and we don't just get CGI.
I have an Apple TV, so I have 3 or 4 screensaver time lapses of the Earth rotating. And if you just watch them for 3 minutes, you can tell that they're not real. It's very easy to tell the difference between a cartoon and reality.
Wait, are you claiming that you are able to determine CGI all the time, just by looking at it?
Most of the time. Most people
What
can.
are your qualifications to be able to do that? And would you let me test that?
Needed.
Would you let me test your ability to determine CGI?
Sure, but it's irrelevant.
Well, not really. You just made the claim that it's all CGI, and you know it's CGI by looking at it. So I want to be able to test your ability to say that things are CGI.
Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. But again, it's irrelevant.
It's not really irrelevant if that's your claim.
It is.
You know, if your claim is
being able to determine CGI is not determinant of the shape of the Earth.
Hang on a second, gentlemen. Joe has agreed to the test. If you would like to give this test, let's we can do this.
Yeah. Right.
Otherwise,
get it up.
Let's keep it civil.
The reason is that you just made the claim that all the pictures are CGI, right? And that's a big claim to make, right? To just say that
all of what pictures, Craig?
All of the pictures and videos from space, right? You just said that they're all CGI.
I did not say that.
Well, you said that all the all the videos of the Earth rotating are CGI.
I said there are 3 or 4 videos of the Earth rotating in the Apple TV screensaver, and they are all clearly CGI. So if we're going to test the CGI, we need to test those videos as CGI.
Do those videos,
which we're not going to do.
Wait, let me ask the question. Do those videos say that they are real?
They don't say that they are real or fake. And this is my point.
Right,
that's what I mentioned earlier. It should be happening on accident. Nobody should be making fake videos because there's thousands of satellites in space.
Yeah, but
that's my point.
They're not really going to see the Earth rotating unless they're in geostationary orbit, because otherwise you're just...
Every satellite is in geostationary orbit.
Incorrect. Geostationary orbit is a very specific orbit, about 225,000 miles away, directly above the equator, and has the same rotational velocity as the Earth. Whereas normal orbits are, actually around the Earth rather than with the Earth's rotation. So no, not all satellites are geostationary. But
there are 402. There are 402 satellites in geostationary orbit, which is support of my point. There are 400. That means there are 400 eyes in the sky. One of them should accidentally be filming the rotation of the Earth.
Okay, and the EchoStar 11 satellite.
Hang on a second, Craig.
Yeah.
Craig.
Sorry.
Hang on a second. Let me finish this thought.
Yeah. Okay.
There's 400 satellites in the sky that meet the standard that you just set. They have to be in geostationary orbit, and these 400 satellites are not providing us genuine footage of the Earth rotating. Because if there were, you would never once need someone to make a CGI of Earth rotating. If I can, for 30 seconds to a minute here, I just want to show a video. Is it possible for me to screen share? I haven't got the screen share.
You should have the ability. It should be down at the bottom.
Under more here. Chat, meeting settings, minimize meeting. I don't have the ability here. It doesn't.
Should be next to participant share screen.
I don't want to lose the points that you were saying there.
It's okay.
Just quickly, there has been
I got it.
Satellites in geostationary orbit, for instance, EchoStar 11, that did a 24-hour broadcast of Earth rotating in the space for many years directly to the Dish network.
Sure.
There is other ones as well, but the majority of the satellites in geostationary orbit don't just have normal cameras on and aren't up there to take pictures. They're up there for other research reasons.
Mhm.
So
All
there,
right.
there is what you say that there isn't available.
Personally, I made a video
Can
asking
my
a
screen
simple
be
question.
seen?
Yeah, 1 second.
Why
Pause it
do
1 sec.
we not see
Pause it
this
1
planet
second.
moving when we got a
Can you
space?
pause it 1 sec? Yeah, let me just get it up on the screen. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, bloody, I've lost my desktop catcher. There it is. Display 1.
Could you hear the audio when it was playing?
Yes. Yeah, we could.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so this is a comparison of some footage that was taken, quote unquote, in space, compared to the NASA spacewalk, which is the very first footage from space that we were ever given. Now, if you watch
Station
this,
moving at 17,500 miles per hour. Why do not we see the
this is obvious that the camera is moving and the Earth that is
planet
being
moving?
viewed
You can
is
see
not
here,
moving.
it is as still as can be.
Fast forward to the spacewalk,
And the walk in space.
and the Earth
Have a look
is
at
moving.
that planet moving behind
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
interesting?
It is flying.
What's interesting with this video is that in the spacewalk video, at some point,
goodness.
and this guy makes a cut to it. Hopefully, we get to
There
it.
you go.
The Earth starts
Same
moving
speed.
in the opposite direction,
17,500 miles
even
per
though
hour, 200
the
miles above
images
Earth,
in the
just like
foreground.
the
So I
space
think this is
station.
part of the show that he's attached to.
Have
It
a
doesn't
look
change.
at the movement here.
It doesn't change relative
It is
sides. It
incredible.
doesn't flip the way that we should see if the Earth starts to spin in the opposite
Or you
rotation.
NASA
Now
task.
again, you just
Moving.
compare that. There you go. There's the Earth
It's,
spinning in
it's
the
at
opposite
normal
rotation.
speed. You can tell.
One rotation this way,
Speeding
and
this
then the
up.
opposite way.
It's
And you
this
compare
shit.
that to footage today.
This is the question
that we
I
have,
asked. There's
and
no
the Earth is
movement
not
at all
moving
here, Mr.
at
NASA
all.
task.
So all I'm saying at the end of the day, I'll stop screen sharing, but all I'm saying at the end of the day is that the footage that we have of Earth from space, no matter what Earth is, Earth could be a giant, ugly cube. No matter what the shape is, the footage and information we have from there should be consistent, and it is not. Someone is lying, and if they're lying once, they
Okay.
could be lying all the time. That's all I'm saying at the end of the day.
All right, so yeah, those were different cameras looking at different things. That clip at the end was actually sped up. I could, the one with it seemed like the Earth was zipping past. That bit is actually sped up, and I've shown that before on the channel. But the ISS orbits the Earth once every 45 minutes. In a few seconds that you're looking at it like that, you're not really going to see much happening. But even in that clip, you can actually see that the clouds change position slightly if you analyze it. But what we get from space is consistent, just that you guys are strawmanning what you expect to see. That's the point. That's why I brought up in my opening about strawmans, because you say, well, we expect to see this and it doesn't happen, therefore we're right. But what you expect to see isn't what the predictions of the heliocentric model are. So you are literally creating strawmans, saying those strawmans don't happen and claiming victory. That's not how it works.
What was my strawman?
The fact that we should see consistent images from space all the time, and that that they don't see satellites accidentally showing the Earth rotating, and that every satellite up there should be able to show us that they're rotating. It's all strawmans because none of those are what we say should actually happen. You shouldn't just be able to. Let me finish my point.
Since you accuse me,
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. All right. You shouldn't be able to see the Earth zipping past with most satellites. You shouldn't be able to see the Earth zipping past from the ISS. Saying that you should is a straw man. Okay, I'm done.
So, two people from the same point of reference, the spacewalk, and then that other video I showed, they should experience two different things.
No, but like I said,
they're both
the
in
end of that
outer
clip was
space?
sped up.
It's the spacewalk, though, so we
Yeah,
know they're
but
in
it's
outer
sped up.
space.
The clip is actually sped up in time. It's
Okay, the
showing
end of
faster.
the clip is sped up, but the
Yeah.
beginning of the clip was not.
No, so obviously in the one that's sped up, it's going to appear that the Earth is moving faster because it's sped up.
The first part of that clip wasn't sped up according to
I
you just
agree
admitted
with
that.
I agree with that. And
Okay,
you see
and the
what
Earth
you
is
should.
moving. It doesn't matter the speed. The Earth is moving.
No, it's
Compare
not.
that to the first clip in the video. The Earth is not moving.
The Earth wasn't moving in the first one. They were just moving the camera. You could
That's
see
what
it
I
move
just
from
said.
window to window.
I'm talking about the first part of the spacewalk.
Look, all of that spacewalk was sped up.
It's the whole thing sped up.
Yes.
Okay.
You can see how fast the Earth appears to be rotating, and that's not what it should be.
That doesn't mean that it's sped up just because you say that.
Well, no,
This
it
what I'm
is.
saying.
It's been
you have
analyzed.
An assumption in your mind. You have an assumption in your mind about what the Earth is doing and looks like, and anything that doesn't fit that assumption, you dismiss. And
I don't
that's
have an
okay
assumption.
To do. That's okay to do, but it doesn't make
you're
your
straw
argument
manning me
sound.
right now. You're straw manning me right now, Joe, by saying I've got an assumption. I don't have an assumption. I base my position on what the heliocentric model says it should be because of evidence and logic. So I don't have assumptions.
Which is an assumption.
No, it's none of it is an assumption. When you have evidence and experiments to back up your position, you don't make assumptions. All of
Just
the
like
measurements
we have
show
evidence
that
and opinions to
you
back
don't
up
have any
the fact that
evidence,
Earth
though.
doesn't
There
move.
is no evidence of the
We
Earth
do.
being flat. You didn't present
We do.
any.
The University of, well, let's see here. I think I have it right here. Let's see here. Because you made the claim earlier that there has never been any measurements of flatness.
No, absolutely
And
not.
there is a study. Did you not?
No, I did. I did make that claim. There has never been any
Okay.
measurements of flat.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and debunk that too, because the Department of Geography at Texas State and Arizona
Please.
State measured the flatness of Kansas, and it is
Yes.
literally flatter than a pancake.
Okay, so the person that wrote that joke article actually sent me an email saying that no, it doesn't show that the Earth is flat.
I'm not looking at an article, bro. I'm looking at it from USU's website.
Yeah, and the article on that website is written as a joke. It clearly says it. I have the email from the person that wrote that article. And there is no way that the data from that can infer that the Earth is flat because it's based on elevation points, which are height above the surface of the Earth. Topographical maps don't show curvature. They are based on elevation. Also, pancakes aren't very flat. But the person that wrote that article actually sent me an email personally saying that that article is a joke and there's no way that you could infer from it that the Earth is flat.
So I just wanted to be known, because this is, again, the state of Kansas thing is one example of many. Again, I have the Chicago
But it's a
skyline
joke.
from 86 miles. Again, I let you talk, so let me finish. I have the Chicago skyline from 86 miles away in the Warren Sand Dunes, both refracted and not refracted, to show the difference and to show that the skyline can be seen clear as day from 86 miles away. So
There's always
that's one
refraction.
example of hundreds of
Wait,
examples of
so
being
you're-
able
you're-
to
wait,
see.
you're
I'm
dismissing-
talking, Craig. I'm talking. Please,
Calm
shut up
down,
and let me
but
make
you're
my point.
dismissing what I said and just moving away. You're ignoring the fact that the thing that you just cited is a joke
on a
article,
second.
so you
All right,
can't
let's-
use it as evidence, right?
All right.
I don't need
All right,
to.
let's-
I'm
let's-
using
let's
it
take
as
for a
one
sec.
example
One sec.
of
One sec, gentlemen.
hundreds.
One sec.
One example of hundreds.
All right, let's take us back for a second. All right, so what is your response to the fact that it's a joke article?
It doesn't matter if it's a joke article or not, because the point
Does.
is there are hundreds of examples of the Earth not showing curvature. Therefore, if there is no visible curvature, it's not there. In order to argue that there's curvature, you have to infer it, or you have to physically show us. And the only
Okay.
thing that we've been shown are Craig. The only
I just
thing
said
that we've
okay.
been shown are You don't have to say anything, bro. When you say okay and there's a 5-second delay, it throws my whole point of view off. So just don't talk, and then I'll give you the floor.
All right, calm down.
When we show dozens and dozens and dozens of examples of evidence of being able to see too far, we don't need the article or the experiment that apparently is satire. Okay, we'll never bring it up again. What happens to the Chicago skyline? 86 miles away, there's 2,000 feet of curvature missing.
No, there's not 2,000 feet of curvature missing. The Chicago
Prove me
skyline.
otherwise.
You don't calculate feet by the tangent. That's not how it works. So the Chicago skyline falls within the heliocentric model's predictions of refraction.
No, it doesn't.
It absolutely does. This is undeniable. I also have emails from the world's leading expert in refraction going over that particular observation. The standard refraction causes light to bend about 1 degree. The 86 miles is just over 1 degree. So it's barely above standard refraction. Now, the thing is, the majority of the time, you can't see that. The majority of the time. It was only under certain circumstances that you can see it. And when you said with and without refraction, well, there's no such thing as without refraction. We always see refracted because there's a medium between us and the thing. So there's no such thing as without refraction. You always have to take refraction into account.
Can I respond now?
Yeah.
One, I misspoke. With and without miraging, because the Chicago skyline is argued to be miraging, which is an effect of refraction. Secondly, the model, the information, the numbers that were given to make these predictions are globe numbers. So when you tell me my numbers are incorrect, you're telling me that your model's numbers are incorrect. If you go to any Earth calculator, again, on Google, so something that a 5-year-old can do, because I'm not dealing with the argument of special information, which is ironic because you made your entire premise in the beginning about flat earthers using special information. And so far, you've argued that you've got emails from leading experts in the specific fields that we just happen to be talking, where a simple Google search debunks everything you're saying. But my point is, when you go into Google and you use the math that we're given, because you've had 500 years to establish the heliocentric model, when you use those numbers and we see that, hey, based on the horizon distance, there should be X amount of feet or sometimes miles of curvature, and that curvature is not there, there's two assumptions. Either the numbers and the math is wrong, or there's no curvature. It's that simple. Both can be true, or either can be true. But to simply argue that there's no evidence, again, it's just being dishonest, because there clearly is evidence.
Okay, so I've not seen any evidence ever. The Chicago skyline isn't evidence of a flat Earth because it falls within the heliocentric model's predictions. So
it doesn't.
It absolutely does. No, you can't say it doesn't. That's strawmanning. It does fall within.
It's not.
It is
because the math.
No, hold on.
Shows
Wait. I'm talking. Except that the math has to include refraction. If you are talking about the full heliocentric model, the heliocentric model includes refraction. And if you go to the advanced curve calculator by Mick West, you can actually put in the refractive conditions and show how that is possible with light barely even having to bend. So you are strawmanning when you say it's not the model, because it is the model. That is included in our model. To say otherwise is a strawman.
Can you show us refraction bending objects from even 5 miles away?
Yeah, I can show plenty of things with refraction.
Let's do 20. Let's do 20 miles. 20
I don't
miles
have refraction happens all the time.
I know refraction happens all the time. You're arguing that refraction can bend objects over a physical obstruction. I'm asking you to show us that.
There's a video on my channel called Flat Earther Almost Broke Me that has an excellent demonstration of a laser light bending. Let's see if I've got that on here. The fact that so wait, are you denying that refraction can lift things up? Is that your claim here?
No, I am not.
Well, what's your point then? What are you wanting me to demonstrate?
I am simply arguing that to suggest that refraction is bending an entire skyline from 90 miles away up in the air to a point where it sits perfectly on the horizon is ridiculous. That's what I'm arguing.
Why are you saying it's ridiculous when it matches the heliocentric model's predictions?
Because the heliocentric model predictions are based on assumptions.
No, there's no assumptions behind the refraction.
You keep using circular reasoning where you use your model to affirm the observation, and you use the observation to affirm the model.
Yeah, because the model has already been demonstrated.
Hang on. Let's not talk over each other now.
Sorry, the model has already.
We've got a couple. Hang on a second. Let me rein this in a little bit. So what we've got here, we have the idea that. So you called in circular reasoning. Can you give us a clear? 100%. All right. So give us a clear reason why you call it circular reasoning, and then Craig, I would like you to address that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's using the model to affirm the observation, but then we observe but then when we ask about the observation, he's saying it's correct because it affirms the model. You need to separate one from the other and let the observation stand on its own. But every single time you make an argument, your observation is rooted in the predictory facts that the heliocentric model says it's going to happen. But if the heliocentric model is reverse engineered to predict then of course that's what you're going to see. This is why every debate that anyone's ever a part of with you or MCToon or any of these other main globe heads that go out here and debate is because you guys just argue in circles.
Right,
you never
okay, let me respond.
just isolate the observation by
Can I
itself
respond?
and let the observation by
saying
itself
the same thing now.
give us the information.
All right,
All right,
so
let's give him a second here.
Having the observation as its own is pseudoscience. You don't just have the observation; you compare it to things and do the scientific method and everything. And the model has already been shown to be accurate. That's why it's a model. So we can absolutely make predictions based on that model and see if it comes true. And if those predictions match the model, it affirms the model. It's very, very simple, but it's not affirming the consequence when you have decades and hundreds of years of scientific research that has gone into creating the model with the predictive capabilities. So there is no circular reasoning when there is so much experiments and science behind where the model came from.
Can I respond to that?
Well, I haven't finished. If you are arguing that it's not the heliocentric model, then you are simply wrong. The heliocentric model is there because of it being created due to years of science and experiments. It's not assumptions. It is facts that have created the model that then gives us predictive capabilities. That's how you do science. You predict, you experiment, you compare results to see if your hypothesis is correct. It's very, very simple. We do not affirm the consequence and we do not talk in circles. We just use the scientific tools that are available to us.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
So for hundreds of years, we've known the heliocentric model to be the model, the gold standard, so to speak. Is that correct?
As the years have gone by, we have increased our accuracy of the heliocentric model.
Why did the U.S. government in the 1960s put documentation regarding the existence and the operating properties of the firmament?
They didn't.
Okay, so again, this is where we just let the evidence speak for itself. So I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to show a screenshot that I just took from a document that I can share.
Change the subject, but never mind, we'll go with this.
No, it's not changing the subject at all because you just made a claim that your model has been the gold standard for years. And I don't, where'd the screenshot go? Did I have it on my iPad? I'll scroll here while I'm looking at my iPad as well, but I just screenshot it. Yeah, there it is. Come here.
Sorry, give me a second. I'm just trying to get you up on screen.
Sure.
Why is that not working? Sorry, give me one sec.
Mm-hmm.
Local desktop capture.
It's okay.
Come on.
Yeah, it's okay. I have it right here.
Right,
Whenever you're ready. Am I up?
Yep, you're up.
This is from CIA.gov. Everyone can see the link. I'll post the link in the chat. And this is a document that, due to a FOIA request, was released in March. In June. It says approved for release in June, back in 2000. And this is page 21 of that document, where it literally says, photographic observations of the spectral intensity of the firmament. This is from 1950. So again, even the people in charge do not agree with your assumptions of the heliocentric model. They know that there is a firmament overhead. They know that the Earth doesn't move. This is why they've been trying everything they can to get out. Look at Operation Fishbowl, part of Project Dominic, Fishbowl of the Lord. They have been trying to understand the firmament for literally hundreds of years, thousands of years. The ancients wrote about it, and our modern technology is studying it. So to make the claim that your model is the end-all, be-all, even this is singular proof. If the firmament exists and someone's measuring it, that has no business whatsoever in the heliocentric model.
So they literally don't mean like a dome. That's not what they're saying by the firmament there. I want to get that full paper up. Could you give me the number of that paper? I just want to bring up something.
Yeah, I'm going to share the link. And again, this is like one of like dozens.
Just read out. Read out the numbers to me on it.
Nah, I'm just gonna post it. I'm not gonna read nothing out.
I mean, that would just be really helpful if you could.
I know, but I'm not gonna read those numbers out. I just posted the link so anybody can see it.
Where did you post it?
In the chat.
It's in the chat. It's in the Google Meets chat.
Oh, right, okay. In the Zoom chat. Let me see.
Yeah, that glass ceiling Hillary Clinton refers to all the time is literal, and they know it. Look at the Libyan sky stone for anybody else watching that's actually wants to look into legit flat Earth research and not just nonsense about flat Earth society. Look up sky stone in Libya.
A dome firmament because we've been up there and there isn't one. 005,
right, except Buzz Aldrin, one of the 3 most famous astronauts, admitted that he didn't go to space.
No, he did not. 13.
But he did.
No, he did not.
Okay.
It's funny that when I actually search for that document, it doesn't exist.
Oh, sure it doesn't, but I could find it in 10 seconds after watching the source that it came from. That's hilarious.
Oh, well, I've just searched for that document, and it said that did not match any documents.
Okay. In the Fight the Flat Earth database?
No, on Google.
Okay. Even though I just posted it from Google, I'll post it again. I'm literally just typing it in from my history, and it pops up every single time. So it's fine. What about going to NASA.gov and go looking up their linear models for aircraft based on a flat,
and they don't say that the Earth is flat. They use modeling technology, modeling information.
And their model is a flat, non-rotating Earth.
No, their model is not a flat, non-rotating Earth. They are modeling the rigid rigid aircraft of constant mass, which don't exist, in a still atmosphere, which doesn't exist. Over a flat, non-rotating Earth, which doesn't exist, to simplify the modeling process.
Okay. That's because
which part?
You can't model heliocentrism at all.
Well,
that's why.
You don't need to model an aircraft over a rotating globe because it's in the same reference frame, and it was just for simple modeling purposes. If you're going with that document,
heliocentrism at all.
All right, guys. All right.
Okay, he keeps interrupting me. So. Joe, I've just got to say that you are the one that has been constantly interrupting. So I would appreciate it if you didn't constantly keep interrupting.
I'll take care of the interruptions. All right, fine. Go ahead and make your point.
The three-body problem has been solved. It's literally every first year physics undergrads solves it. As part of what they do. Let me just get rid of that bit on Zoom. The three-body problem has been solved. There's no issue there. Literally just go and search for it. So apart from going directly to that document, and I'd like to read the rest of it because I'm pretty sure it doesn't say what you think it says. Characters of suffix radiance. Oh yeah, no. Go to the next page. They're just talking about like the firmament of radiation that's coming in, not about a dome. It's funny that you didn't read the rest of the document. But
it's 100 pages. Don't tell me I didn't read the rest of the document when you just saw it for the first time, and 15 seconds ago you claimed the document didn't exist.
Yeah,
so let's stop that.
I went to the next page on that document, and it debunks your claim that there is a dome firmament. So if you go
show us the debunk.
It literally says
where.
Only the method to determine the characteristics of soft X radiation is described. The monochromatic radiation was attained by the reflection from the monochromatic crystal quartz. And in some a narrow spectral range corresponding to the maximum of white.
I'm sorry.
I'm just skipping over some of the numbers in brackets. And Joe, once again, you interrupted me.
I got this, Craig.
And it literally says that it's talking about the radiation intensity was kept at stabilizing the voltage of the entire installation at anododic current of the tube, and where the temperatures of the developer was kept constant. And what it was trying to do, and nowhere does it say that it's looking at a dome. It's talking about measuring different radiation wavelengths. Nowhere does it mention a dome at all, anywhere.
Again,
on the next page, it doesn't say
you
dome.
are making.
Craig, gotta let him respond. Respond now.
You're making the argument that firmament doesn't mean dome.
No, it doesn't.
You're making that argument, except the word firmament, the oldest use of that word comes from the Bible, which refers to a vault. or a dome.
Incorrect.
Overhead.
The original Hebrew translation in the Bible, the firmament translates as
The rakia.
expanse.
It does not. That's
It absolutely
a translation into
No.
English.
I actually
All right.
I've got a friend who is a
semantics.
yeah. I do have a personal friend who is a native Hebrew speaker, and the translation of firmament in the original Hebrew is expanse, not dome or anything like that. It's very simple. Yeah.
Take a second, Joe.
So-
Yeah, do you think?
First off, I follow the word of Yah, so this is not an argument that you want to go there with. But the ancient Hebrew word for firmament is rakia, which means solid or hard, accompanied by several verses that refer to the heavens as a tent stretcheth over the earth, and the dome being hard and solid and fast as molten steel. Or as molten glass, as molten glass. Molten glass, if you know about glass, it's hard. So to claim that the ancient word for firmament, which is also being affirmed in other scripture, doesn't mean what it literally means. Anybody can look up in a Strong's Concordance right now the definition of rakia, and it means hard or solid. So again, this is the fourth time I want it to be known, and I'm going to end my point here. This is the fourth time where not only let me revert back. This is the fourth time where you have, in your premise, made the argument that flat earthers use special information, and yet now this is the fourth time where you've made an appeal to authority by claiming that you had a specific conversation with some expert who basically affirms what you're arguing, when anyone doing honest intellectual research can affirm for themselves that that's not the case.
So literally, when you look it up, the original translations say that it means sky or expanse.
I think we need to move on from the translation of the word firmament from the Hebrew, because we seem to be at an impasse on this one. So let's move on to let's reset our guns here for a second.
I've got another question
to
then.
The position. Well, hang on a second. Let's move on to the position of the sun and the moon, because that seems to be
before we do that, there was one thing that Joe said that I wanted to just question, and that was that he said that there's measurements of the Earth being still. Is he able to present?
I never said that.
Or did you say measurements of the Earth being flat?
I said measurements of the Earth being flat.
Right, okay. Could you show me a measurement of the Earth being flat then?
Every observed phenomenon shows a flat horizon that rises to the eye of the observer the higher the observer goes.
So I would...
as admitted, let me finish, as admitted by the most famous scientist on your side, which is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay, so I asked specifically, could you present me with a measurement of the Earth being flat, please?
No.
Why not? You said that there's lots. Why can't you show me any?
Let's change the word measurements to observations.
No, because they're not the same things.
Sure, exactly. So what I meant was observations.
Right, so observations are useless if you don't make measurements.
No, they're not.
Observations is literally the first part of the scientific method. You then do other things. So are you stopping at observations? Because that would mean you're following pseudoscience.
It's not, and here's why. If I make an observation that I can see the Chicago skyline from 86 miles away, and then I take an experiment where I take the measurements of the globe and I apply it to my observation and they don't match, I can throw away the globe. That's isolating the variables. That's a scientific method. That's observable science.
That wasn't the scientific method at all, and you haven't isolated all the variables because you completely ignored refraction, which is why you see the Chicago skyline. No,
it's not. I didn't ignore that because I have two observations. I have one that has a ton of refraction and miraging, and I have one that we all know atmospheric refraction and atmospheric lensing and magnification are always in the sky, but it's not as prevalent. So
yeah, okay, but it's still refraction. There's still refraction.
Because
yes, it does matter. Wait, Joe, hold on. No, wait, I'm talking. Wait,
here's why it doesn't matter.
Wait,
hold on. It doesn't matter.
Craig.
I think I was talking and he interrupted.
Well, here's the thing. All right, hang on a second, both of you. So we have a claim made that refraction. What was the claim that you made, Joe? You made a claim about refraction. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm saying you can observe. So, for instance, this guy Josh Nowicki, he has literally like 17 observations from the same place. of the Chicago skyline from 80 miles away. So you can observe when the refraction is high or refraction is low, when there's a lot of debris in the air, things of that nature. It's clear that if the heliocentric model's math was correct, there isn't a single time that I should be able to see the Chicago skyline from 86 miles away when the tallest building in our skyline is 1,400 feet tall. So there should never be a single time where refraction can bring the entire skyline, not just the Sears Tower, but the entire skyline 2,000 feet over Earth's physical obstruction to be viewed flat on the horizon. It's not possible.
All right, Craig, now, do you have a direct rebuttal for that?
Yeah, he just strawmanned the position again by saying refraction can't do that, when that is literally the predictions of refraction. Saying that it can't do that when we have evidence of it doing that, you know, the research around refraction from Newton all the way to modern day shows that refraction can absolutely do that. So to say that refraction can't do that when it's happening right in front of you, and I can actually show refraction bringing things up with the laser thing, or if someone could send me the video of the can being lifted up by refraction. I've lost the link to that. If someone could send me a link to that on Discord showing that refraction can lift a can up. Let me see if I can find that. But yeah, no, that is literally the refraction, or the predictions of refraction, that you would be able to see the Chicago skyline with just over 1%, 1 degree of curve. You know, you don't have to think about it in feet. You think about it the amount of degrees that light has to bend. Just 1 degree would mean that you would be able to see 69 miles away. Why are you shaking your head, Joe? It's not moving the goalpost. How is it moving the goalpost that when 1 degree on Earth is 69 miles, right? 1 degree on Earth is 69 miles, which means for light to be able to see in 69 miles away, it has to bend 1 degree. 86 miles is just over 1 degree. So light would have to bend just over 1 degree to be able to see the Chicago skyline. Do you agree with that or not?
You are making the claim that the Chicago skyline
do you agree with that or not, Joe? I asked the question. I asked the question, though.
Craig,
I'm responding to your question.
Let him respond.
It was a yes or no question.
I got you, bro. I got you. So you are making the claim that we can see the Chicago skyline due to refraction. And if that claim is true, then your measurements are correct. But what I'm saying is, sorry, I just got really bad news. What I'm saying is the Chicago skyline is not being viewed flat on the horizon due to refraction, because we have other examples where refraction is taking place, and you can see that the view of the Chicago skyline is different. It's looming above the horizon, it's miraging, and it's upside down. You compare that to the footage that the picture came from, the famous Josh Nowicki picture, where the horizon or the Chicago skyline is literally sitting on the water, and it's obvious they're not the same. You have to affirm that those are the same phenomenon taking place when it's obvious it's not the case.
So refraction has many different effects, and it will look different every day. But refraction is the reason that you can see that. And I'm going to show this video here because I found it of. So let me put on the video and just explain what's going on. Right. So basically, there's this can, and it's got these bits of plasticine on: yellow, red, and blue. Okay. And he puts it on this behind this curved surface, this propane tank that you can see here, okay? So you saw the can, you saw that it was behind there, you could just see the top of it there with blue. Now what he does is he pours, I'm pretty sure it's liquid propane on it, which is
propane.
0 degrees Celsius, right? And what it does is it makes the light bend downwards and brings that can above the horizon of that tank, which is exactly what we are claiming is happening at the Chicago skyline. So there you saw it. As it got cold, the air got colder and denser, the refraction caused what was behind the horizon to rise up above the horizon. That is what we are claiming is happening at the Chicago skyline 86 miles away. It happens here. It happens here over a short distance. There's no reason it also can't happen over a larger distance. Refraction can absolutely 100% bend something around a curve.
So, just like you just said, yeah, it could happen at a longer distance. But I asked for an observation that mimics anything even remotely close to the topic at hand, which is a skyline 86 miles away. And you gave us a dude doing an experiment in his living room using propane as the magnifier to bring this object over the cylinder. There's no propane being sprayed. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Why is this not a valid experiment to demonstrate what you're asking for? Seeing as how the propane is mimicking the conditions, the refractory conditions that would create this type of effect. Why is this? Can you explain why this is not a legitimate experiment or does not meet what you're asking for?
The simple answer is it's not the scale. Like, move the camera back, I don't know, 30 feet. And then let's see if it takes place. Let's like do something a little more to scale if we're talking about, you know, in our example here, the Chicago skyline, and that's what you're trying to compare. On top of that, he's spraying propane to make the magnification effect. Like we readily admit that the atmosphere acts as a magnifier, but that's part of our proof that things appear bigger, smaller, further, closer due to atmospheric conditions and not due to curvature. So that's not a proof in his pocket because it's doing what I'm saying is possible of happening. And all right, it's not happening to scale.
Let me ask you, can you show me refraction happening like that makes something go down instead? Because there's so many times when we can't see the Chicago skyline. And there's so many times where we can't see everything, and then refraction creeps in and then we can see it. So your claim is that refraction does the opposite to what we are saying it does. So have you got a demonstration of refraction moving something down as it's in a colder, denser part of air?
As I was just explaining before, this is one example of hundreds. We have examples of the sun literally fading out, not setting, fading out in the sky due to atmospheric conditions. It could be foggy and you won't see the skyline 10 miles away. If you take a boat from, ironically, Adler Planetarium, you take a boat from the planetarium where Lake Michigan is and you go out 10 miles. Depending on the day, like we've had rain all week, you're not going to see the skyline anymore. Like 10, 15 miles. So to make the argument, like there's sometimes we can't see it, we know that. The whole point is,
on clear days, though,
if the Earth's physical body, the Earth's mass is what's causing objects to disappear, right? Because they're going over the horizon, then we should never, one time, be able to see the Chicago skyline, specifically sitting flat on the horizon. We should be able to see maybe the Chicago skyline looming or miraging and hovering overhead, which I have examples of. From the exact same observation point, we can see the mirage.
Okay, Joe, I'm sorry, I've got to call you out for straw manning again.
It's not touching the horizon.
I've got to call you out for straw manning again.
No, go ahead, let him go.
You keep saying we shouldn't be able to see this, but that is a straw man because the predictions of the heliocentric model are that we should be able to see it. That's what it says. That's what the maths of the wait. That's what the model says. That's what the math says. That's what the physics says. Our position is that you should be able to see the Chicago skyline under certain refractive conditions. So saying that you can see it is in no way evidence that the Earth is flat when we class it as evidence of our model doing what we say it does. That's what we claim should happen. So your entire argument is bunk.
You claim.
Straw man. No, science claims.
But
science.
But EarthCurveCalculator.com does not claim that.
And it doesn't take into account refraction.
Right. Which you're claiming is the cause for seeing things far away every single time.
Yeah, the Earth curve, the basic Earth curve calculator is just there to say what.
Hang on a second. So hang on a second. So the point of contention here is who is actually making the claim about refraction. Now, Joe, your claim is that Craig is making this. That's his position. That's what he says. And
he has to.
Well, but from what I understand, from what I've seen, it is not Craig's specific position that refraction is causing this. I think the part that you guys are getting hung up on is the fact that Craig is not suggesting that is his claim or his words. Those are what he says. That's science. That's the scientific claim based on atmospheric conditions, refraction, etc., is the reason why you would see that mirage or the looming skyline, etc. So is there a reason why you say? I think that's the reason why Craig keeps going back to the straw man position.
Yeah, because nobody is going to show me refraction causing an object to be seen from, based on what I just typed in here in a different Earth calculator than the one I had up. 4,497 feet of missing curve. That's almost a mile of missing curve.
Wait. So are you saying
that
you want me
bending is causing that to take place is ridiculous.
Why?
You can believe it all you want to.
Why is it ridiculous when it's demonstrated that light bends a certain degree?
Light bends a certain degree, and that light bending will cause physical objects to lift up from thousands of feet away.
I just showed you that happening.
Show us.
I just showed you that happening.
Some guy in his living room.
That wasn't. It was
outside. 3
outside.
miles away.
Right. So what you're saying is you want me to go outside and show you refraction happening in real life. Well, you've done that for me, Joe. You've taken the observation of the Chicago skyline, so you've shown refraction happening in real time as we claim it.
This is again you inferring what refraction is doing.
No, I'm not inferring. This is based on scientific.
So
wait.
Hang on a second, gentlemen. Isn't there a scientific formula for refraction?
There is,
or a mathematical formula.
There is.
Yes.
I don't know off the top of my head, but the works of Newton, and then to the modern day works of Dr. Andrew Young, the current world's leading expert on refraction, who I've had several email conversations with, going through how the things happen. And he's actually got a model, based on known physics of refraction, showing what things would look like based on a flat Earth. But what you see of the Chicago skyline is what we claim refraction should do. So it's not evidence of the Earth being flat. It's not a measurement. It's just an observation, and you don't stop at observations. You then form a hypothesis, make prediction, do experiments, compare your results. Just saying, oh, well, if we observe that, that's how it is literally pseudoscience. Now, there is no measurement. There is no measurements. It's not a straw man, because you said, well, we observe it. No, you literally said, well, we observe it, and that should be good enough. That were your words.
That's a lie.
No, those were your exact words, Joe.
It's a lie.
No, it's not. Anyone can rewind it about 25 minutes and listen.
You don't need to rewind
your
it.
exact
I'll tell you
words.
what I said right now.
Go on then.
I said, once you make the observation, you then continue the process.
No,
so if I make an observation that the Chicago skyline can be seen 86 miles away, and then I form the hypothesis, I don't think the Earth is curved. I think there's no measurable curvature between here and the Chicago skyline. And then I perform an experiment. What's that experiment? Taking measurements that have already been made, which you yourself admitted in previous debates, that you don't have to be the one to physically do the observations and the measurements. You can use other people's observations and measurements. So when we use the measurements and observations given to us from the globe proponents, by the way, and we don't see them in nature anywhere,
we do.
The world record for the longest photo is 340 kilometers away. How on earth can you be given a world record for a photo if it's refraction and miraging?
Well, exactly, refraction. In that particular photo, we've done the maths on it. In fact, Gare Stryber did the maths on it when he debated JM Truth on the channel a couple of years ago. Based on the maths of the globe Earth, from the height that photo was taken, you should actually be able to see the top 20% of those mountains, which you do. And the photographer himself even said
you can see the whole thing.
No, you can't see the whole thing. The photographer himself said you can't see the whole thing, and what he saw was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see extreme refraction. Even the person that took it says that it's not evidence of a flat Earth. So what you're doing there is actually the fallacy of stolen concepts to start with, but it also matches.
Stolen concepts isn't a fallacy.
Yes, they're literally the fallacy of stolen concept. That's a real thing. Seriously, just Google fallacy of stolen concept. It's literally what you've just done.
No, because you don't like Google. You don't even accept Google.
Oh, I do accept Google. When you actually go into and read the results of Google, it shows you the correct things. But the fallacy of stolen concept is just what you've done. The maths of that photo shows it is perfectly possible on a globe Earth. Everything that you keep saying, Joe, is things that we expect to be happening on a globe Earth under certain refractive conditions. So it's
one
not
question,
evidence
and then
that the
I'm
Earth
going
is
to
flat.
leave this point alone because I'm done arguing circuit with you. Can we observe curvature here on Earth?
Yes.
Okay, so the fact that you think that and the most famous scientist on Earth disagrees with you is all that needs to be said. Let's move to another point.
He doesn't disagree with me.
He does. He said from 120,000 feet, that thing looks flat.
Yeah, that thing, it does look flat, but, you know, look really close. Also, Neil deGrasse Tyson fallacy there. No, that's not a real one, but Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't a god.
No, it's not.
Neil deGrasse Tyson...
You've been appealing to authority this whole time. You've been appealing to authority
again,
this whole
Neil
time.
deGrasse Tyson
You cited four emails. You cited four
from the
emails
people...
that you haven't even showed us.
I showed the email.
But you
I
said
literally showed the email. I literally showed the email
didn't.
from the guy that you said about the paper. I showed it on screen.
Okay.
So Neil deGrasse
emails
Tyson...
you received.
Yes, I showed the addresses where they came from as well. So Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't a god, and he says the horizon would look flat, but that's not... You don't measure the horizon.
So watch here, we don't see anything.
So, yeah, you don't measure the horizon. That's not how you measure the curvature of the Earth. Looking at something and it looking flat isn't the same as making a measurement. There are measurements of the Earth being curved. So we know it's curved because it's been measured to be curved.
That's exactly what I've been saying, Craig. When we take those measurements and they don't apply to nature, we throw one of the two out, either nature or the measurements. We're throwing out the measurements. You can accept that as proof or not, but it doesn't make the flat Earth argument invalid because you don't like it.
Science
That's all
doesn't
I'm
prove
arguing.
things. You do know that science does not prove things.
Oh
right?
my God, you and these semantics, dog. Okay.
Well, no, I just want to make sure you know what you're talking about.
It's
but,
irrelevant.
Here are
of the Earth,
here
and you
is
want to argue semantics. Just
here
to be
is
right.
a okay, right, Joe, calm down. Joe, here is a geodetic surveyor doing his stuff with his equipment, measuring the curvature of the Earth, taking refraction into account, doing it multiple times, and matching the predictions. So what you find is that if you use the correct tools instead of just your eyes, that you can actually measure the curvature of the Earth, even over 1 mile, which he does here in this particular observation, or over water, which he does here, a lake, showing that the Earth is curved, matching the predictions of the Earth being curved. So
can I share my screen? Because I'm over this point. I'm not arguing in circles with you anymore. Let's move on.
Okay, well, I was just finishing my point. Right, so what was the next thing you said?
Can I share the screen?
Yeah.
I think
what
we're
point are we going to?
We'll take a look at the sun and moon relationship.
Yep.
Right.
I want to show that right now because another point that I made is sunsets. So is my screen being shared?
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
So watch here. I mean, we don't see.
Oh my God, Jeranism. Oh, please no. Oh, carry on.
Yep, that's an add-on, but okay.
It's not an add-on.
So
I just said his name.
It's a physical separation between where the Earth
so
ends
this
and
is Mount Canada
curves over,
from,
and that's as far as
I
we can
believe
see.
it's 300 and something
but
miles
on this
away.
specific day, the sun
And if you notice, right now, you can't see the mountain because the atmosphere is too thick.
Wait, I thought we were moving on from that point.
behind and creates a mountain chain is there.
As the sun moves,
so granted, can you see down to 1,000 feet or down to the shore?
20% of a mountain range.
Because you're looking
This is
over
the
a
entire
vast
mountain
amount
range.
of water.
And what I'm
and
saying,
again, reading
and the
these
reason
things that I
why
read
we
today
can
are just
definitively
more
say
backup
this
of
is
that,
not
of
refraction
exactly what's
causing
going on
it
here.
is because
But
every
here, if you
time
look
we
at
spot
this
one
is
of
not a
these
mirage.
objects or the
See, this is
skyline
not
from
right
Real
far
quick,
away,
Joe, you may
not
want
shimmering.
to you may want to mute the volume on
Sure.
on the video so we can hear you.
Every time that we see these observations of seeing things too far, the objects that we're looking at are sitting flat on the horizon. So if we're going to argue that every single time we see something,
I thought we were moving away from this subject.
Calculator, stop interrupting me.
But
If
you
we are gonna
just said
argue
you were
every
moving away
single
from this
time,
subject, and then you
stop
carried it on.
interrupting me.
Craig,
Shut
Craig,
up, Craig.
Craig,
Damn.
behave yourself.
Please, bro.
I'm sorry, I just
If
thought we were
every
moving away from
single
this
time-
subject. It's all right.
You are such a child, my guy. Every single time we see too far, the object in question is sitting on the horizon. If atmospheric refraction is causing that every single time, then every time we see these observations, we should not see the objects in question sitting on the horizon. We should either see part of the object, which sometimes we do because the waves and other things in the lower atmospheric density can block the lower sections. Like you can't see Lakeshore Drive sometimes when you see the Chicago skyline, but you can see everything else. But we shouldn't see the object sitting on the horizon. It should either be miraging or looming at the very least when we're talking about hundreds of miles away, 300 plus miles away. There's no way that refraction is going to allow this object to not only lift over the curvature, but sit flat on the horizon. That doesn't happen.
Okay, now, as I understood it, we were moving away from this point.
He just strawmanned the position again and carried on the same thing that he said he was moving away from. Joe, you can't say it shouldn't do that because that's the predictions of it happening. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to see things at the... You can't say it's not because it literally is.
All right.
Right?
All right.
You just have strawmans.
Don't make me do it.
Sorry.
Don't make me do it. I'll do it. You know I will. All right, we are moving away from this particular point, and we're going to move on to the next one. Talking about the relationship of the sun and the moon. Joe, I believe your position is that the sun is small and local, and that the moon does not reflect the light of the sun. Do you would like to see some evidence of that, if you would, please?
Yeah, give me 1 second. All right. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. I'm going to share my screen. And share the screen. Share the screen. Let's go to here. So I'll let this video play. And you should be able to hear anything. But this is showing how the sun sets and how everything sets due to perspective. These are 8 bottles sitting on a flat surface, all the same height and same size, but from our perspective, it looks like they're setting. Or later ones are getting smaller.
Joe, 1 sec, I don't have you on screen. Sorry, I was showing the wrong thing. Give me 1 second.
It's okay.
All right, there we go. Sorry, now you're up. Do that again.
Yep. So you see these bottles, all the same size, they're the same brand, everything, but obviously the further ones look shorter, and this is over a flat surface, and this flat surface is only 10 feet long, probably at most. So obviously, if it works on a small scale, it's probably going to work on a larger scale. Now,
sorry, go back to these bottles for me.
Play out. I'm still going here, buddy. So just relax a little bit here.
Well, I didn't see
watch
what
the sun.
Claimed.
Just let me make my point, and then you can do your thing, man. I'm gonna let you talk. So I'm trying to let this video play. Now, if you see here, the sun is small and local, which is why as it's traveling, it's carrying its light with it. We see the light traveling with the sun. Now, the heliocentric model, because we're talking about spheres, it demands that the sunset be uniform, okay? And that's not what we see, right? We see the sun rising and setting due to perspective. Let's see if we can fast forward this a little bit. Every single time we see a sunset, we see the sun. The sun setting, I'll answer, it's fine. The sun setting in your model is due to the Earth rotating away from the sun, which means the sunset should be uniform in terms of the light leaving us. But we don't see that in nature. When the sun sets, we don't see uniform light across or fading with it across the horizon. Just like here, you see a bright spot, and you even see a hot spot being carried and reflected through the water, proving that the sun is small and local. Same thing here. This is a sunset or a sunrise, excuse me, above the clouds and above ground level in the same place. And you see the sun moving and getting smaller, and then it gets bigger. In your model, the sun does not change apparent size.
Nope, it absolutely doesn't.
In actuality.
No, it doesn't. Let me get
it. It does, and we're watching it here.
So what you're doing, what you're showing is okay. Let me respond. What you're showing is glare. Simple as that. What you need to do is stick a solar filter on your camera, so you can actually see what's happened. Basically, you're overloading the sensor of the camera, and it's showing glare. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Joe, let him finish. Let him finish, Joe.
Okay.
Joe, let him finish.
Okay.
Right. So, you're claiming that the sun changes in angular size, right? I'm not strawmanning. That's just what you've said.
No, that's not what I said. Apparent size, which is why I was trying to stop you.
Yeah, which is the angular size in the sky. But it doesn't change in size in actuality. In reality, it doesn't change size. If you use a solar filter to remove like 99.9% of the light, so there's no glare, you can accurately measure the angular size of the sun. And as this video shows by Red Rhetoric, throughout the entire day, when he took a photo of the sun, like every hour, let me speed it up. Throughout the entire day, the angular size of the sun was exactly the same when he used the solar filter. And this isn't the only thing. It's also been done by many other people with a solar filter. The angular size of the sun stays exactly the same through the entire day. You need to use the correct tools to be able to do it. So your claim that the apparent size, your claim that the apparent size changes is it may be because you're seeing the glare on the video and even with your eyes. But when you remove most of the light and you don't get the glare, what you see is the sun not changing in its size at all throughout the entire day. Which, if the Earth was flat and small, and if the Earth was flat and small, flat and stationary, and the sun was small and local, the angular size would absolutely change.
That's not true.
Wait, no, you're saying that the angular size of the sun wouldn't change?
You're demanding that it changes. If
it absolutely does, and I've got evidence that it should, because I modelled it out with perspective. I do. If the Earth, wait. If the Earth is flat and stationary and the sun is small and local.
Let me interrupt for a second. Let me interject for a second. And Joe, earlier you showed you had a demonstration of your fist during your opening arguments. You had a demonstration with your fist that. You yourself said that your fist appeared to get smaller as the farther away it got, and then bigger up front. Does that not coincide with what Craig just said? Hang on a second. Somehow you are muted. I think you may have accidentally muted yourself, Joe. Let me see. Hang on. One sec. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. Wait, you were there for a second. Hang on. There you go.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so he was demanding that a flat Earth and a small local sun produces a sun that changes in apparent size, and absolutely. I'm not saying that. And so.
But you did say that earlier. Earlier, you literally said.
Well, hang on. Let him answer, Craig.
In his example that he used, and this is important to note, the sun doesn't always change what we think as its apparent size everywhere. It's dramatically different depending on where you are. So for instance, where I'm at here in Chicago in the north, I'm not going to see as dramatic of a difference depending on the time of year. But somebody in like South Africa, if you watch sunsets in South Africa, it's very obvious how the sun shrinks into a little ball.
This was taken in Florida.
Very obvious.
But like I said,
that's in the north where I'm at.
There is zero angular size change at all, right? Zero. And if the Earth is flat and the sun is small and local, as I'm demonstrating with this program that the 3D model that I created, which takes perspective into account, the sun changes in angular size according to this 3.7 times. So at this point here, when it's directly overhead, it is 3.7 times larger than when it gets the furthest away, which would be over the east of Russia. So absolutely, I would demand that if the Earth was flat, and the sun was small and local, that it should change in angular size. But as I demonstrated with the video from Red's Rhetoric, the sun does not change in angular size at all, debunking the claim that the sun is small and local.
That doesn't, the changing of angular size, whether it does or not, doesn't debunk the local small sun.
Absolutely does.
Because
please explain why it
doesn't. And the reason why is because you're demanding, this is moving the goalposts, you're demanding that a flat Earth that you made, your model, your flat Earth model, you're demanding that automatically will show us a sun that's small and local, changing in apparent size.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make it true just because you say so.
Well, but you claimed, this is your claim again, Joe. I'm not strawmanning here. Your claim was that due to perspective. No. Your claim was that due to perspective, the sun would set, right?
But the sun appears to set. The sun never sets.
Well, it wouldn't even appear to set according to perspective.
That's not true.
Excuse me. This takes perspective into account. Where in this?
What are converging and diverging lines, Craig?
Lines that either converge together or diverge away. But this is perspective happening right in front of you. Please tell me which part.
Not. It's a computer.
And it takes perspective into account. Please tell me which part of perspective says that the sun would never set, that the sun would appear to set. Which part of
How
perspective
does
says
your
that?
computer model take into account perspective?
Because there's a formula for perspective.
Bro.
Do you know the
These
formula for perspective?
sunsets due to don't ad hom me.
No, I'm not ad homing you.
These sunsets due to optical perspective.
What's
How
optical
does your
perspective?
computer defy optical perspective?
Well, now you're moving the goalpost. Wait, Joe, you're moving the goalpost. Joe, you're moving the goalpost because earlier you said perspective.
All right. Everybody.
Can I finish my point? Can I
reset our gears. We're starting to talk over each other a little bit more. All right. So the contention we're having is with the point that Craig is making is that you don't see the validity of his model because it's a computer.
It doesn't prove anything. Yeah, he's saying his computer model takes a perspective into account, and because it's not showing perspective or it's not showing angular size change, therefore there's no angular size change. No, show us that in nature.
Well, you don't see this in nature because the Earth's not flat.
No. Show me how perspective doesn't explain a sunset in nature when I can show you perspective like this. It doesn't make any sense. Everyone alive.
Wait, you're the one making the claim.
Long hallway.
Joe, you're the one making the claim that it does.
Hang on, Craig.
I feel like I haven't managed to get my response out yet. I'd really like to respond to what you said.
I'm about to leave, bro. You're not even letting me talk, so how can you respond to something I'm saying when you're not letting me talk?
I haven't had the chance to respond to what you just said about optical perspective.
If you keep talking over me, Craig, I'm just going to leave, my guy, because I don't have time for this, bro. What I'm trying to explain to you is that in nature, we see things rise and fall below and above our eyes due to perspective. It's the way our eyes work. Our eyes literally see in a curve. If I draw a straight line here, and here, I will see a curve. My eyelids are curved. So to say, oh, you see a curve, like, of course your eyes see a curve. You have to take that into account. But when we're watching the sun set, like, we can easily demonstrate how that's possible due to perspective. To argue against that it doesn't make any sense. To argue that it's not possible. I'm not saying that it's the root cause. You're arguing that our arguments aren't possible, and that's ridiculous.
All right, can I respond now? All right.
All right, Craig. So why is what he's saying, or why are the arguments not possible?
Well, first off, he's changed his argument from perspective to optical perspective, which is literally moving the goalposts, which I was trying to point out.
What's the difference?
They're very different. Optical perspective isn't a thing for a start.
Perspective as it pertains to eyesight?
But you didn't say that. You just said perspective. What particular... Could you give me the formula for optical perspective?
Can you?
Well, I can give you the formula for perspective, absolutely.
Okay.
Alpha equals 2 times the arctan of g over 2r, where alpha is the angular size of the object, g is the distance of the object, and r... Wait, hold on. You've just interrupted me, Joe. All right? Alpha equals 2 times the arctan of g over 2r. Alpha is the angular size of the object. G is the actual size of the object, and r is the distance to the object. Using that formula, you can calculate exactly how big things should be based on how far away they are. That doesn't change just because your eyes are seeing them. Your eyes see whatever light hits them. Perspective is a thing, and this is perspective happening according to how it happens in nature. There is no explanation for why the sun would appear to set because parallel lines do not intersect. So there would be at no point ever, according to perspective, the sun would go below the horizon. That simply isn't how perspective works. Demonstrate it then. You're the one claiming that the perspective does this. Can you show me something setting due to perspective?
I just showed you video of a guy with a fake sun making it set across a shoestring in his kitchen. Don't sit here and ask me to show you.
You showed a bottle.
I just showed you. You don't accept it, and that's okay.
Show that again, please.
My point is,
show that again, please. Maybe I didn't. Wait, maybe I didn't see that because I was waiting to get it on screen. So could you show that again for me, please? Is that okay? I'd like to see that again. You there, Joe? Has he left? All I wanted to do was see the thing that he was talking about.
He does. There, I think he's coming back. There we
Can you
are.
hear me?
Yep, right.
Yes.
Let me just give me 1 second to get that up on screen before you start, so that everyone can see it. Right. Okay. Right. Go back to the bit that you're saying about a guy making something set on a shoestring.
We can literally watch it here.
Yep.
These lampposts are setting.
No, they're not.
They're setting. Yes,
No,
they are. The ones
where
further
no
away
setting.
are shorter.
Yeah, but they haven't gone below
perspective.
the horizon. They haven't gone below the horizon.
Because you can't see that far. You can see the horizon past the lamppost. If you couldn't see the horizon past the lamppost, they would set past the lamppost.
Wait, but that's not what's happening. They're not setting.
Because yes, they are. They're just not setting below the horizon because you can see the horizon.
But that's what setting means.
What?
That's what setting means. The sun setting means it going behind the horizon.
The sun setting is you inferring it's going behind the horizon.
Well, no, that's literally what it is.
That's my point. No, that's
what we appear to see.
This is circular reasoning all over again. You are inferring that sunsets are the sun going below the horizon. We're saying it's the sun disappearing due to perspective.
Okay,
all
so
I'm saying is stop making the claim that the argument isn't legitimate. Right here. Setting. Getting bigger, getting smaller.
That's not setting, Joe.
Craig, it's
Joe,
doing the same thing the
Joe,
sun
you can
does.
still see it. When the sun sets, you can't see it.
The sun.
Not when it sets, you can.
You can still see the sun.
No, you can't.
Really? Because you're watching it right now. The sun sets and it's being brought back over the horizon.
And then when it disappears, you can't bring it back.
You can. You can zoom in on it.
No, what? So you're saying you could always zoom in on it?
I didn't say always. You said always.
If you
can zoom in on the sun and bring it back into view.
And you can't do that if you use a solar filter because you're just talking about glare again. So no.
But you haven't even mentioned what's causing the glare. We know what's causing the glare.
Yeah, I told you what's causing the glare. It's overloading the sensor with the amount of light coming from the sun. That's what's causing the glare.
That's your claim.
No, that's how cameras work. That's not my claim. That's how cameras work.
That's your claim. You're making a claim based on what you
that's
think
not my claim. That's how cameras work.
No, that's your claim because you're making
an
assumption
it's
about
not my
what the sun is
claim.
doing.
It's not my claim.
I don't care what you have to say about it. You're making a claim.
Right? No, wait. You haven't showed the sun, Joe. You haven't shown the sun setting in any.
This is the sun setting.
Yeah,
this is on the horizon.
No.
It's above.
You said you could demonstrate it happening.
Now it's above.
You said you could demonstrate it happening with a shoestring or something.
So when I can demonstrate it, I'm going to take 5 minutes here to find a video demonstrating it, and we're not going to have this conversation about the sun setting ever again. You're going to concede that point, and we're going to move on, and then I'm going to leave because this is going to be ridiculous.
But you didn't show it setting with any of these
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm about to take a couple minutes to find a video right now, and I'm going to show you because it's that easy. It's fucking stupid, bro.
Well, yeah, I'm asking you to show evidence. I don't know how that's stupid, Joe.
You haven't showed anything but some emails you got from some random.
I showed measurements of the Earth rotating.
And your little computer model.
I showed evidence of the Earth rotating, Joe.
Please.
Joe, I literally showed evidence of the Earth rotating. What are you on about?
No, you didn't.
Oh, I literally did.
You didn't.
Wait.
You literally didn't.
I literally did. How is it not evidence of the Earth rotating? Like, we can go to that point next if you like.
Do you have any other points? Because at this point, man, I'm about to go.
Well, yeah, we can go to all the stuff about the Earth rotating and all the measurements.
I can't. Okay. Show us the measurements of the Earth rotating.
Okay. Well, I showed the one from Bob. That was a good one. Using the interferometric gyroscope.
That wasn't evidence of the Earth rotating.
It absolutely is.
You actually took a clip from a video and you didn't show the full video. You also didn't show his response and him clarifying what the ring laser gyro proved, which he believes it actually proves our point. But you didn't.
Doesn't matter what he thinks it proves.
It does because you showed him as a source.
No. Wait.
Matters what he thinks.
No. That's.
It absolutely matters what he thinks.
Joe, you're going to stop interrupting me when I'm trying to talk? Because you're doing that way more than I'm doing to you. You're doing that way more than I'm doing to you. Right, so the ring laser gyroscope does not see the sun. It is an enclosed unit. It cannot see the sun. It can only see the light inside. What Bob said, his own words were, oh, it measured drift, that we don't think that's what's happening, which is the antithesis of science. Oh, we get that result, but we don't like it, so we're going to try and make another explanation for it. That's
you've
not
been
what
doing
you
the
do
whole
in
time.
science. No, I go with what the prediction explains it to be, and then look at the results. Now, I also showed the measurements from the gentleman physicist, using the prediction of a rotating Earth and the drift induced into it of a swinging pendulum, matching the predictions of the rotation of the Earth, showing that the Earth is rotating via a physical empirical measurement. How is this
Can
not?
you show us?
How is
Can
this
you show
not
me
evidence?
one pendulum? Can you show me one pendulum moving without someone starting it initially?
Straw
I would
man.
love to see that.
That's a straw man. We don't say that should happen.
Yeah, because you can't do it. You have
Well, no.
someone has to start the initial movement for,
Well, hang on.
for a pendulum to work.
Yeah,
Wait,
okay,
wait,
you're
wait,
avoiding
wait.
the point.
Stop. What's the relevance of that? Why does that matter?
The whole argument of a pendulum is that it's responding to, or it's being affected by the rotation of the Earth underneath it. And if that were true, you wouldn't have to start a pendulum. It
Straw
would
man.
start on its own.
Straw man.
Well,
That is a literal
hang
straw
on.
man.
Show us.
Wait. So why is that a straw man?
The physics of Earth rotating do not say that a pendulum should start swinging automatically because of it. What the pendulum shows is when it is already swinging, that backwards and forwards movement will have a drift induced into it. Not the predictions of the model and pendulums do not say that it should start swinging automatically. So you going, well, show me that happening, is a straw man of the position, because we don't say that should happen, and neither does physics. So you asking for that?
Your argument of a pendulum.
My argument of a pendulum is that when it is already swinging backwards and forwards, that straight line path that it is moving will have a drift induced into it that is proportional to the latitude on Earth. And you can use the amount of drift induced into that straight line moving path to calculate what your latitude is on Earth. There is no reason why the pendulum should start swinging on its own. We don't say that should happen. That's not the predictions of our model. So don't use that as a straw man.
Your predictions of your model, like I said, is circular reasoning.
No,
your
it's
model
not.
was invented to explain away what you can't explain.
No, it wasn't.
I'm telling you that.
No, well, I don't care if you tell me that. That's a straw man of what a model is.
It's not. It's a straw man of what your model is in your eyes.
Well, no, it's literally a straw man of what a model is.
Okay.
So so I want your explanation for why this is happening if the Earth is stationary.
I don't need to give you an explanation because
Yes,
you're
you do.
inferring that what we're. No, I don't. First off, I don't know
Yes,
who the hell
you do.
you're talking to. Secondly, no, I don't.
Yeah,
And
you do.
secondly,
I'm going to
don't-
demand evidence. I'm going to demand an explanation for this based on the flat Earth.
You're going to demand evidence from a claim that you're making.
No, I'm going to
That
demand
doesn't
a
make any
flat
sense.
Earth explanation for why this is happening. If there is no explanation for this on the flat Earth, but there is on a globe Earth, then that means the flat Earth isn't correct. So why,
You
if
need to
the
do
Earth
more
is
research
stationary,
on pendulums, bro.
I've done all the research on pendulums. I can do the maths. Now,
No,
if
yeah.
the Earth is stationary, why is that drift being induced?
For a number of reasons. I don't know why. A lot of pendulums have magnetic properties to them. Like,
That's just to keep them going backwards and
arguing
forwards.
that every single time a pendulum has a drift, it's due to Earth's rotation? You're
Because
inferring
that's
the rotation.
what happens.
You're inferring the rotation.
No,
You
we're
can't
not.
show me
The
Earth
rotation's been measured.
So you have to show me.
This is a measurement of the rotation.
You have to show
Greg,
me
let him
things
answer.
that are being affected by Earth's rotation, because you can't show Earth's
There
rotation
you go.
by your own admission.
Well, no, I can show Earth's rotation. I can show you the video from EchoStar 11 that had a 24-hour live stream of Earth rotating. So you can't say I can't show you Earth's rotation. So, so basically, this is evidence and a measurement of the Earth rotating, matching the predictions of physics of a spinning body having a pendulum on it and what should happen. So
Don't talk about physics when you can't even accept water being level.
no,
The most basic of
water.
physics.
Wait, water is
Don't
level.
talk about
level
physics.
doesn't mean flat. Water's not flat.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
Why'd
So
you
we-
why'd you
like I said
disagree with the
before-
dictionary? Why'd you
like
disagree
I
with the
said
dictionary?
Before, any 5-year-old can go type in level in Google and go look up Concordia, Oxford.
Should we do that right now, live?
Webster, and they will give you 70, 85% definitions that either refer to flat, horizontal, or perpendicular to whatever the lingo is, perpendicular to the surface or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they'll give you like 2 or 3 that might even possibly hit to it being curved.
Well,
and anybody can do that.
Joe, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Joe. Isn't the language perpendicular to the surface of the Earth? Isn't that important to the definition of level?
I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying level doesn't mean curved unless you're talking to Fight the Flat Earth or MCToon.
Or
because
any
every definition of level
refers
to something horizontal or flat, like sea level.
Can you read these words on screen for me that I've highlighted?
No, can you, my guy?
Yeah, I can.
Read the whole thing.
Yeah, having no part higher than another, conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of the Earth's surface. Where did that go?
Right. So let's go to Oxford. Let's go to Wikipedia. Let's go to all the definitions. I don't want your one that refers to the Earth's surface.
Oh, you want more. You want more. All right. MCToon.net/level. Let's go here. Where there is 45.
I don't want to go to your MCToon. See, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's hang on a second, Joe. Hang on a second, Joe. Hang on a second, Joe. Joe, I got you. No, I got you on this one. Okay, relax. I got you on this one. That is a valid complaint to use a biased source in this one here. So let's go. That's not biased.
This is just a reference of where the source is.
No,
I understand. National Geographic.
I understand you're getting the reference point from a biased source in Joe's.
And the definitions from the definition, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Johnny. The definition that MCToon uses is from National Geographic, who made an argument that level means curved, and I'm making the simple argument that any dictionary you pick up will argue that level in some form means horizontal or flat. Water always seeks to find its level. Yep. Earth is 70% water, Earth is level.
Earth is not 70% water. The surface of Earth is covered with 70% water.
Right.
And level, when you are talking about the shape of the Earth, means conforming to the curvature of the Earth. Level means having no part higher. It does. You can't say it doesn't when I've got 45 citations in front of me that say that it does. All right.
Show us 45 citations.
I'm not allowed to because it's a biased site.
Okay.
But it comes from people that actually use leveling as a profession. You know, it comes from people that do actual like leveling work and describe it using, you know, geometric definitions. And wait, don't interrupt me, Joe. All right. Level literally means to follow the curvature of the Earth. When you are talking about the shape of the Earth, horizontal line, level line. Level surface is defined as a curved surface which each point is perpendicular to the direction of gravity at the point. The surface of still water is truly level surface. Any surface parallel to the mean spheroidal surface of the Earth is therefore a level surface. Leveling, from chapter 8 of Leveling Manu. 2 or more points are said to be level when they are equally distant from the centre of Earth, or when they are equally distant from a tranquil fluid situated immediately below them. A level surface on the Earth is nearly spherical and is not a plane. It is everywhere perpendicular to the plumb line.
You're using the source you were told not to use.
Well, this is where I get the links to the other things. I could get the links separately.
You're using the source you were told not to use.
Oh, I can get the links separately. It doesn't matter where I get them from.
Let me ask you, Joe. If the area at which he gets the links from, if he were to go, I mean, if it's the same as a link itself, it weren't using the fact that it's on MCToon's page. If it were gone to separately and it matches up, would that be acceptable?
Instead of answering that, I'm just going to do this for 30 seconds and then we can move on. The definition of level as a noun: a horizontal plane or line with respect to the distance above or below a given
noun.
The position, because it could be used as more.
No, we're talking about the adjective of it. We need to talk about the adjective of describing words.
Let him finish. Let him finish, Greg. You
as
can
an
count when he's finished.
Having a flat and even surface without slopes or bumps, at the same height as someone or something else. As a verb, give a flat or even surface to. Every definition is referring to even or level or horizontal or, like you said, no point higher than the other. There's the only thing you're going to see about level meaning curved are your specific sources that you're trying to find to make that point proven. When anybody who is just blanketly looking up the term level would not come to the assumption, naturally, based on reading all 30 of these definitions, that level means curved.
Joe, where did you get your definitions?
I literally typed in level definition in Google.
Okay.
It can't get more honest than that. Just literally just type it in and look it up for yourself.
Yeah. And then
you don't need MCToon.
So what you did first off was you talked about the noun and the verb, which is ridiculous because we're talking about a describing word, which is an adjective, and the literal first entry in the Merriam-Webster dictionary for the adjective. Oh, it's not deflecting. The adjective is a describing word. Verbs and nouns aren't describing words, and the literal definition for the adjective of level in the first entry in Merriam-Webster dictionary is conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of Earth's surface. Now, level can have other meanings. Words can have multiple meanings. But when you are specifically talking about the shape of the Earth, the true level, according to professionals that use this in their jobs, means the curve of the Earth. So I agree with you, Joe. Water is level. But level follows the curvature of the Earth. Water is never, ever flat.
Do you know that there are surveyors who say the Earth is flat and they never use the curvature of Earth when they're actually building stuff?
Present me one.
We'll go watch Level. Pilots, surveyors, helicopters.
Eric Dubé's. Oh, are you talking about Eric Dubé's video?
Yeah, where surveyors are claiming that.
On my channel, part 1 of that is already nicely debunked. Part 2, 3, 4, and 5 are coming. But oh my God, Eric does so much lying in that; it's insane. Please don't use Eric Dubé as a source. I got about 10 minutes because I can't deal with the interrupting and the laughing and the childishness anymore. It's making me you're the one that's
interrupted
more than me.
You interrupted way more than you, and no one. You interrupt more than anybody ever. You're interrupting right now, and even Johnny would admit to that. I have interrupted you, and that's why I said I'm about to leave
way more than minutes
because I'm acting out of my character at this point because I'm frustrated. But you are a child, Craig. You have interrupted so many times. Even right now, you can't help yourself but to interrupt. So let's take 5-10 more minutes, and then I gotta go.
Yeah. So you're allowed to cite Eric Dubé's Level, right? But I'm not allowed to cite MCToon's website. How's that fair?
That is a fair question.
I'm not making the argument like, boom, let's accept this as blanket science. I said there are surveyors who are claiming that the Earth is flat or that they don't use the curvature informations. There are snipers who claim they never take Coriolis into effect. Like, really? You don't have to accept the information. I'm not trying to convince you the Earth is flat, my guy. All I'm telling you is that the information out there exists. That's it.
No, but you haven't presented any information that suggests the Earth is flat. Not one bit.
I did. So let's not be dishonest. Again,
presented information. He has presented information that the Earth, information that suggests his position. He has presented his information. Whether you agree with it or not, that is separate. That's separate.
Yeah, okay, so whether can we go over what information he's presented?
Hang on a second. Whether you believe it is legitimate. That's. Whether or not you can answer his objections, that's different.
He can't even help but to interrupt the moderator.
I didn't say anything. So what was the evidence that he presented the Earth is flat then?
No. We didn't say. I didn't say evidence. You just say information that suggests the Earth is flat. He did present information that suggested that the Earth is flat.
Really? I didn't see any.
You did. You're just being intellectually dishonest, like you
no,
always do.
I'm going back through
we
the
almost
debate.
didn't do this to begin with because you can't just be an adult. You can't
I'm
just
being
accept
an adult.
your point, make your points. No, you can't. You're literally arguing like a 5-year-old. He didn't show us anything.
You didn't.
I clearly
I'm
did.
going back
you
over what you said, and
you didn't like it, but I showed you a lot here in this hour and a half we've been talking. That is literally asinine to say. I would never say, Craig, we've been here for an hour and a half and you showed us nothing.
Sorry, I've just gone back through all the notes I've made, and there isn't one bit of information that could specifically suggest that the Earth is flat.
Okay.
I'm not being exaggeratedly honest. I'm being deadly serious here, Joe. As far as I can see, you haven't presented anything that could suggest that the Earth is flat.
Do we have any other points to make? Because I'm about to go.
Well, there's many things that you said. Gravity is a concept. That was a funny one. When it's been experimentally verified following the scientific method over and over and over. Do you want to talk about that?
How?
Well, I gave the 5 experiments in my opening statement, in my opening evidence.
Show me gravity. Grab a jar of it and paint it red. That's density.
Straw man.
Your notebook's heavier than air.
No, density is not a force. Density can't cause acceleration.
I didn't say it was a force. The Earth has a negative charge. That could be its force in and of itself.
A negative charge of what?
The Earth has a negative charge.
And that would make this accelerate towards the ground at 9.6 meters per second. How?
It could. Everything
How?
that meets the threshold of air that's heavier than air can fall at the same rate.
It doesn't fall, it accelerates. So why is it accelerating,
Sure.
Joe?
I mean, like I said, it's falling at the same rate. That doesn't have to, gravity doesn't have to take into account for that to be
No,
the
it's not
case.
falling at the same rate, it's accelerating.
I think it's accelerating due to magnetic forces. That's what I think. Not gravity. I think what we call gravity is electromagnetism.
Okay, electromagnetism would mean that if I stood in a Faraday cage, I would float. I've been in the Faraday cage and I didn't float.
Okay.
So
we don't live in a Faraday cage.
I've been in a Faraday cage, several of them, and I don't float.
I don't care. Let's talk about where we live.
Well, no, but your claim is that electromagnetism is what causes gravity. No, I'm not moving the goalpost. It's your claim. Your claim is that electromagnetism is the cause of gravity. If that is the case, inside of a Faraday cage, you would float.
I did not say that, buddy.
You said, no, you absolutely did say that gravity is electromagnetism.
No, I didn't. You just said that I said that electromagnetism is the cause of gravity, which I was responding to and saying I didn't say that.
What did you say? What did you say it is then?
You just corrected yourself the second time and said that electromagnetism is gravity, which, for all intents and purposes, when you guys say gravity, I think electromagnetism.
Okay, right. So if gravity is electromagnetism, right? So if gravity is electromagnetism, that means that inside of a Faraday cage you would float. That doesn't happen.
Again. I don't care about your damn Faraday cage. I'm talking about what we see in nature.
It disproves your theory.
It doesn't, because my theory applies to nature.
Faraday cages are in nature. Everything's in nature.
So,
they are?
Let me ask you a question. Why does a Faraday cage, why is it important to this argument?
Well,
what exactly
does a Faraday
cage do?
A Faraday cage blocks out electromagnetism. It doesn't let electromagnetic waves through, right? So if gravity is electromagnetism, then inside of a Faraday cage, that electromagnetic waves wouldn't permeate it, which means that you wouldn't feel the effects of gravity inside of a Faraday cage.
So your contention, what you're saying is that based on electromagnetism and how it works inside of a Faraday cage, if the Earth's gravitational force was due to electromagnetism, once you step into a Faraday cage, you would no longer be feeling the force or that electromagnetism to pull you down.
Correct.
So thus, what would you have to say to that, Joe?
Well, for starters, we don't live in a Faraday cage. So it's not comparative. It's apples and oranges.
It's really not.
Secondly,
it's not an apples and oranges conversation. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Joe, but because it's it's evidence that suggests that if you were to take out the electromagnetism, then the thing that you're claiming is holding us down. If you were to take that out of the equation, we should float, but we don't see that when we take that out of the equation.
I didn't say that. The electromagnetic force of Earth establishes a down. Anything that is heavier than air, if removed or separated from Earth's surface, will float. Anything that is, or lighter than air, anything that's heavier than air will drop. So you can jump, but then you're going to come right back down. It's the same thing that Craig said earlier about us being born on Earth. Therefore, we don't feel Earth spin. You were born on Earth. So you were born with the down already established. So everything that you experience will be in relation to that constant, which is down. And it's down for everyone, not down here and down or up in Australia, whatever. It's down for everyone. Down is down, up is up.
I've got
not
a good one.
Towards the center. I don't want to hear that.
Well, it is towards the center because plumb lines diverge. So you're claiming that the electromagnetic charge of Earth induces a down into everything that has the same acceleration, 9.81 meters per second squared, roughly all around the world. The only issue with that, well, one of the many issues with that, is that these two things would react completely and utterly differently to electromagnetic forces. They would not have the same acceleration towards the ground, but they do. There is no explanation for electromagnetic forces causing the wood and lead in this pencil and the gold, platinum, and other metal components in this phone to fall at the same rate. They would have different forces applied to them. So, it categorically cannot be electromagnetism of any kind that causes Earth's gravity. Density does not cause things to move because it's not a force. It cannot induce an acceleration. So what is the explanation for why things accelerate?
Sorry, I never claimed that electromagnetism causes gravity. So stop saying that.
You said electromagnetism
gravity
is gravity.
Doesn't exist.
It does.
All that exists is electromagnetism.
Yeah, but electromagnetism doesn't explain why things accelerate towards the ground, or why you don't float in a Faraday cage. No, it doesn't.
It can, because they are denser than the air, which is why when you change the medium, Craig, you asked me a question.
I stopped.
When you change the medium, you change the results. Those two objects you just had in your hand, they will fall at the same rate in air, but when you change the medium from air to water, they will not have the same effect.
So, is it density or is it electromagnetism?
It's both. They're not independent of each other because they both exist in nature.
So you're changing your position from it being electromagnetism is gravity to it being density and electromagnetism. But again, right, electromagnetism does not... Wait, hold on.
It could be electromagnetism.
Let me respond. Electromagnetism does not give the explanation that you are suggesting. Electromagnetism cannot cause things to accelerate at the same rate. Density also cannot cause things to accelerate at the same rate. You need an equal force acting down on things for them to happen at the same rate. Electromagnetism and density do not offer those explanations.
I mean, you can make that claim. That's cool, but I'd have to see that demonstrated.
You're the one that's making the claim. I gave you 5 experiments. Wait, hold on, let me finish. I gave you 5 experiments that demonstrate that gravity is a fact, following the scientific method. 5 experiments, right? None of those experiments take density or electromagnetism into account. So
that's their problem. That doesn't mean that
they're variables that are removed in a
satisfactory explanation for the phenomena that we see as objects falling or rising.
There are variables that are removed, such as electromagnetism. B.M. Furble made sure that electromagnetism wasn't happening in his experiment when he did the Cavendish. But the what you're claiming about electromagnetism and density physically cannot make happen what we see happen. Right, what we see happen...
You're claiming that to be true.
No, it's a fact. Right, what we see happen, and I'm going to describe this mathematically, right? What we see happen is Fg equals G m1 m2 over r squared. That is the observation that we see, right? And that observation includes gravity. Buoyancy also includes gravity, just so you're aware.
No, you're inferring that it includes gravity, but I can explain both without the need for gravity.
What's the formula for buoyancy?
I don't know.
Okay, the formula for buoyancy, Joe, FB
includes gravity. I know.
Yeah. Well, let me finish.
Craig,
wait, you interrupted me, Joe. Let me finish. The formula for buoyancy.
You interrupted me. You're the only person I know that will interrupt somebody and then
Excuse me, you literally just interrupted me whilst I was talking about the formula, Joe. You literally just interrupted me.
You asked me about the formula. I said,
and you said no.
And before I could open my mouth to continue, you interrupted me.
You said no, and then I said I'd explain it to you, and then you interrupted me. So let me finish what I'm saying, Joe, okay? The formula for buoyancy is FB, the force of buoyancy, equals rho, which is the density of an object, G, which is the downward acceleration due to gravity, times V, which is the volume displaced, right? You cannot have buoyancy without taking into account an acceleration downwards, which is due to gravity.
You're inferring it's due to gravity because you can't prove it.
The formula proves it.
The formula doesn't prove anything because formulas don't prove things.
Incorrect. Maths is where you get proof from.
You can say that. You can make mathematical proofs, but math is language. I can make math say anything I want.
No, you can't.
I can make 2 + 2 5.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Go on then, make 2 + 2 5.
Bruh, I'm not finna sit here and argue with you like this, bro.
You just made a claim that you can make 2 + 2 = 5. Please demonstrate that claim.
I made a claim that has nothing to do with the conversation at hand, and you want to argue semantics because all you care about
not semantics.
is trying to be right. It is. That's nothing to do with the conversation.
Then why did you bring it up?
It's semantics.
Then why did you bring it up?
Because I said math is language. You can make math say whatever you want.
No, you can't.
You guys made the math in your model, so of course the math is going to work for your model.
The math was an observation.
That's literally circular reasoning.
No, it's not.
The heliocentric proponents made the math for heliocentrism, and then you're using the math to prove heliocentrism.
Maths is how you prove things in science. That's literally where proof comes from. This is just a fact of science.
So then when I say your math for Earth's curvature can't be observed a single place in nature, you have to come up with something else, like refraction.
I literally showed you it being observed in nature.
Every time y'all get presented with an argument, you have to move things slightly, move things slightly to make it so that the argument seems like it's not valid and sound. And flat earthers make valid and sound arguments. You don't have to agree with them, but don't sit here for a second and tell me that we don't make valid, sound arguments. That
no, I absolutely 100% disagree that you make any valid or sound arguments, because everything you do is based on straw man. Everything that you do is based on, like, Joe, literally all you've done tonight is
based on an assumption.
No, it's not. It's not based on assumptions. It's based on experimental evidence, not assumptions.
No, it's not.
It absolutely is. I gave you 5 experiments. You can say it's not, but you're wrong.
Cool story, bro. What about Aries failure?
The 5 both indicated that the Earth was rotating.
No, they didn't. Especially Aries failure.
Come on, bro. This is what I'm talking about. It's called failure for a reason because it failed.
Be honest.
Joe, it's called Aries failure because it failed to detect the aether. That's why it's called Aries failure.
You have to claim that it failed to detect the ether.
That's why it's called Aries failure.
That's the claim you guys make. But it also proves that the Earth doesn't move.
No,
if you
it doesn't.
make the claim the Earth doesn't move, Craig, shut the hell up for 10 seconds. If you make the claim the Earth doesn't move and you get the results of Aries failure or Michelson-Morley, it would be the exact same results as if you made the claim the ether exists and then your experiment proved the null hypothesis. It's the exact same thing.
100% incorrect. There is nothing about the Aries failure that could say that the Earth doesn't move. And Mixon-Morley's experiment was based on the fact that the Earth was moving. I'm sorry that you don't understand these experiments, Joe, and that you want to strawman what they are. You dismiss,
just like Einstein, you dismiss the ether based on your results.
No, it was disproven.
It doesn't mean the ether's not there.
No, the ether was disproven.
No, it wasn't disproven.
Mixon-Morley would disagree with you because they didn't find any ether in their experiments. Neither did Mixon-Gale.
Their experiment was a null hypothesis.
Their experiment was a null hypothesis. Excellent word salad there.
Again, proving my point, bro. Because you don't have proof of the shape of the Earth. So
we do. We have all the measurements.
You gotta wait for somebody. You have to wait for somebody you're talking to slip up on something that they might not know as much about you about, and then you use that argument, which is a side point or a tertiary point to the main point of the shape of the Earth. Because you can't show us curvature.
I showed you curvature.
We've been here for an hour and a half, and you showed me a dude spraying propane on a tank as proof that refraction disproves the fact that we see too far. That's a joke.
Well, you say it's a joke. Not my fault you don't understand it.
I can't wait to
I also showed you literal curvature. I literally showed you actual curvature.
No, you didn't.
Here we go. Here it is again. Actual curvature being measured by a professional surveyor. Don't say I didn't show it to you when it's here. How is it hilarious when it actually measures curvature over water?
Because you know for a fact, again, and this is why I don't have conversations with people like you. Because you're intellectually dishonest, and I don't have respect for this.
Sorry, I'm not going to accept you just ad homing for no reason. Explain why this isn't a curvature.
You're being intellectually dishonest because
how am I being intellectually dishonest?
Jaronism, Bob Nodal, Nathan Thompson, we all have observations from 17, 20, 30 miles away showing no curvature in the exact same format as this observation here.
Not in the same format at all. So
picking an observation that you claim is showing curvature when we can show you observations that show otherwise, Come on, bro. That's not
You
honest.
can. All right. Not one of the people that you've mentioned has done this using professional tools.
A camera, bro?
This isn't just a camera. This is theodolites and leveling equipment.
Anybody watching this, and oh my god, I cannot wait.
Like this is literal. This is literal curvature.
Stop interrupting me. Shut up.
You keep interrupting me, Joe. This is literal curvature.
No,
please explain to me why this isn't curvature. Right, we're not moving on. We're not moving on until you explain to me how this isn't curvature that's being measured.
All right, we're gonna put some folks into some time out for a second. All right, hang on now.
Man, you're acting like a baby. It's hilarious.
Hang on. Let's take a second, take a breather. Let's take a breather and let's reset. See if we can come back to a little bit of a more civil discussion. Everybody should be able to unmute.
If we don't have nothing else to, for evidence to show, well, I'm done arguing some answers.
I'd still like you to rebut my gravity evidence, the 5 experiments that I mentioned.
Again, Craig, you are inferring gravity because you can't put it. You can't see. So I'm not going to respond.
Well, you're straight up strawmanning me straight away by saying I'm inferring gravity. I'm not inferring gravity. I have mentioned 5 experiments that demonstrate it following the scientific method. So can you debunk any of those experiments?
Per your claim.
No, not per my claim, per science. I
have other scientists who claim that we can't even experience gravity until we leave Earth's atmosphere. So I'm not going to sit here and argue a point that I don't believe is real. That's ridiculous. You can argue gravity all day long. But ask a flat earther, Craig, shut up.
Joe, I have experiments. Okay. I don't. So you have to.
We can make one more point.
Gravity debunks a flat Earth.
Johnny, we can make one more point about something else off this topic, then I'm leaving because I'm done arguing with this kid. I'm done.
Okay, you want to act like a child, that's fine, you can carry on, but I will keep going on about these 5...
Craig. You're a fucking kid, bro.
You're the one that's acting like a baby this entire time. It's hilarious. You're a kid. So 5 experiments that demonstrate gravity. 5 experiments. All right? So 5 experiments that demonstrate gravity. Gravity says that the Earth is a sphere. Can you debunk any of those experiments?
Gravity doesn't talk. So gravity can say whatever it wants. It doesn't prove the Earth is a sphere. You need to show us curvature. It's pretty simple.
I've shown you curvature, but now we're talking about gravity. One of the predictions of gravity is that Earth will be a sphere. The 5 experiments that demonstrate gravity, can you debunk any of them?
You are using something that your model created to explain your model. I'm not going to explain something that I don't believe exists to you. That is retarded, bro. Come on.
You need to explain the results of the experiments, then, that demonstrate gravity to be real.
I don't need to explain the results. You do, because you're using them.
But the results of the experiment show that gravity is a real thing.
That's great. I'm showing you
gravity's real.
Experiments. I've showed you experiments that show the Earth doesn't move.
No, you haven't.
I have. They're just done by renowned scientists that you accept. So because you don't accept the evidence, therefore I haven't showed it to you.
Which scientist showed that the Earth doesn't rotate?
Intellectually honest.
Which scientist showed the Earth doesn't rotate? Which one?
This is an appeal to authority, which you know is a fallacy. I don't need to have somebody with a white
You just made that claim, though.
Make a scientific claim.
Goalpost moving. You just made the claim that you have scientists that say that gravity isn't real. You literally just made that claim just now, Joe.
Well,
I said I have science.
He has evidence. His evidence. This is what he said. He had evidence. However, I do have to call into question the appeal to authority fallacy usage there. We would expect to look to people who do study this for day in and day out, have experience. That would be an acceptable source and a credible source of information. Someone who has vast experience and knowledge in the field. So I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that someone that a scientist who does this day in and day out would be.
I don't have to refer to scientists. I don't have to even refer to scientists. Every first-year student in the world does the Cavendish experiment.
He's talking to me. He's talking to me. Craig. So be quiet.
Come on,
Let me respond to that, Johnny, because I do think that's a great point. But the reason I say it's an appeal to authority is because we've been taught this model since we were 5 years old. And so to infer that this model is set in stone, this is it, at 5 years old, all the way up through high school and college, but then to say when we're debating the model, we have to refer to experts, that's ridiculous. If we're going to teach this to children at 5 and 6 years old and teach them that the Earth is a sphere, and show them the globe in class, and show them all the maps, which, by the way, even people who are on the globe side will admit that all of our maps are wrong, which is why they all say Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer when we don't live in Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer anymore. But that's beside the point. These things that we're given are at such a young age that we should easily be able to talk to them as regular people. I don't need experts and scientists because I got my own two eyes and my own experience to show me what I feel to be true. So I accept expert opinion, but we got to accept that both ways. I mentioned pilots who said the Earth is flat. These pilots fly over the Earth 30,000 feet in the air all day, every day. So we have to accept their testimony and their experience just like we accept Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye and all these other people because they're experts in their field too. And I'll give you one more example, and I'll let Craig take the floor after this.
Well,
I worked for Apple for 5 years. I worked at Apple for 5 years, okay? If it came out, 6 months later, like 100% fact that Apple is purposely corrupting their devices and purposely doing all these things to their customers' devices, that has nothing to do with the experts. I'm an expert in Apple software, literally by title. I was a technical expert. That has nothing to do with their people, with those people's information. They could have all that information based on what they're taught and still be wrong, which is why I brought up earlier when surveyors and other people who you would expect to use Coriolis, they admit that Coriolis is in their model, but that's in their manuscripts and in their manuals and stuff like that. But they also admit that they never use it. So to never use it is just the same thing as to say it doesn't exist. It's not relevant to what we're talking about.
Well, okay.
You can theorize about it all you want to, but it doesn't make it relevant.
Okay, you said so much there. Who cares what we were taught when we were 5? That's what we're here discussing, is the shape of the Earth. It doesn't matter what was taught to who. Me referring to experts in the field and scientific experiments is 100% not an appeal to authority. No.
Exactly what that is.
It's really not. It's appealing to experiments that demonstrate what you say. And it's not an appeal to authority because it's not just famous scientists that do it. Every single first-year undergrad physics student does the Cavendish experiment. All right, so I can refer to it being done thousands and thousands of times, getting the same results. That is not an appeal to authority. Appealing to experiments that demonstrate my claim is not an appeal to authority. It's presenting evidence. So, going back to the 5 experiments for gravity that demonstrate gravity to be a fact, can you debunk any of them? Would you like me to go over them again?
Again, Craig, and this is why, again, I don't like talking to you because you can't just be honest. I'm not going to.
Wait! Don't claim I'm not honest. Don't claim I'm not honest.
Craig,
do not do it. No, don't claim. Don't claim I'm not. No, don't claim I'm not honest because I've asked you a question, Joe. Don't claim I'm not honest because I've asked you a question. That's not on. All right. I asked you a question and then you just claimed I wasn't honest. Can you answer the question or not, you little child? Honestly, you're like a 5-year-old. My daughter behaves better than you.
Let's all ring it in.
He's rage quit anyway.
Yep. All right. Well, it started out where
what
it started
a baby
out a lot better than I thought. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean,
I know I interrupted sometimes, but I think I'll watch that back. He interrupted way more than me. He spat the dummy out constantly when I asked him for evidence.
It was probably closer to 50-50. Maybe like a 60-40 split.
All right, let's end the poll that I've had up there for a couple of weeks and just get the results of that quickly. So, according to the poll that I put up, come on. Sorry, my YouTube's being slow now. Right. Where is it? Why wouldn't it show me the results of the poll?
Big face.
That's not fair. It's not showing me the results of the poll after I've ended it. I had a poll up there that said, was the Earth a globe, a flat, or a cat? And I think the majority of the people chose cat. But there we go. So the Earth is a rotating globe, 54%, a cat, 42%, so it was close there. But only 3% thought it was flat and stationary. What a shame. Johnny, thoughts?
Well, I like that I have the left side of my face in one spot and the right side of my face in the other
I will
spot.
sort that out
now. Yeah, so the constant claim about appeal to authority, I hope I was able to, accurately demonstrate why that is not a legitimate argument on his end. Because absolutely we should be able to appeal to those who do this shit. Like if I am talking about some sort of, glacial isostatic survey or adjustment or whatever, I'm going to cite PhD Tony. Yeah. Because that's what he fucking does. That's his area of expertise.
But he was claiming that me citing experiments was appeal to authority, which I thought was really quite funny. Because, that's how you present evidence. Well, show me an experiment that demonstrates that. Okay, here you go. Oh, that's an appeal to authority. Right. You can't show me that experiment. What kind of fucking nonsense is that?
So he did give information that suggested that the Earth was flat. Now, just because that information was incorrect or misinterpreted doesn't mean that he didn't give information that suggested that the Earth was flat. Yes, the information of me going outside and looking and seeing a, quote, flat and level plane when I look outside, that is information that does suggest...
Right, I see what you mean.
However, going back and then looking at all of the evidence, all the parts and all the pieces, I can see where...
So basically, what you're saying is he gave information that he thought supported a flat Earth. But that's why I say he didn't, because that was my opening statement. The flat earthers present strawmans, right? So what he thought...
it does suggest. I mean, whenever take away all the scientific knowledge that you have, right? Take away all the study that you've done. It would, your initial observations. You do have to go against them, right? You do have to go against what you initially experience and observe. Which to say is, that's how you kind of, figure shit out. But I would say that, yes, it is information that suggests that the Earth is flat, but based on further review, it does not hold water. Haha.
Booch. And I kept showing evidence of curvature, and he kept saying that I didn't and stuff. But all right, so I'll accept that he presented information which could suggest at a cursory glance that the Earth might possibly be flat. But I reject the notion that he presented any evidence that the Earth could be flat.
Oh, no. I never suggested that he did.
So
I never suggested that he presented evidence.
Johnny, thank you very much for coming to moderate. I just want to say that
you guys can send me tips at PayPal. I'm just kidding.
Well, you will be getting 25% of the super chats that I've received today. I think that's fair. You've taken your time out to come on my channel and present this for me. So thank you very much. I've got, I think there's $380 in chat revenue there. So once I get paid next month, I will transfer 25% of that to you. Okay, as a thank you for coming and doing this. I really, really do appreciate it. If you guys haven't checked out Johnny O, you can find him at the Plot Hole weekly. The horror podcast you do? What's that called?
Weekend Horror Podcast. That's every Wednesday. We do the live recording on YouTube on Weekend Horror channel. You can just Google Weekend Horror. I'll take you right there.
Yeah. Also, you on the Plot Hole. What is it you do over there?
rockmetaltalk.com. Right now that has been put on hold. I'm still with rockmetaltalk.com, but the hosting site, we are between hosting sites, so I'm just doing everything on YouTube at this moment.
And that's at the Plot Hole. They can find you on YouTube. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, if you want to go, I've got links to Johnny's The Plot Hole channel in the description, and I would massively appreciate it if you guys watching would drop him a sub and say thank you for his hard work and patience tonight. I know that I can be a hard person to deal with as well, Johnny. So thank you for taking the time and slapping me down when I needed it as well. Now, you're great at moderating, and I would gladly have you back to moderate more stuff. Have you had training in being a moderator?
I spent. I mean, it's gonna make me sound like a huge nerd, but I was in debate club. Yeah, I do have a bit of experience, not extensive experience, but I do have a bit of experience moderating.
Well, I think you did a great job, and thank you very much. Thank you, Sif, there for putting the link to A Week in Horror. For that's you with J.L. Warren, isn't it, over there doing that? And then, yeah, on the podcast, on the rock hole, on the plot hole, he releases regular videos talking about news in the community and any other things that he seems to find interesting. And actually, whenever you're what's it you say? Deep inside the plot hole or something. Whenever those pop up. The news shows that you do, I'm like, yes, I have to sit down, grab a smoke, and watch that.
As the plot thickens.
The plot thickens, that's it. Yeah, I sit down, whack it on my Amazon Echo in the kitchen, get myself a smoke, and it's a really easy show to watch, and I really enjoy it. So, guys, please do go and drop Johnny O a subscription. That would be amazing. I'm going to read through the super chats, and then we're going to get out of here for tonight because it's been a pretty good night, I'd say.
I had some fun.
Yeah, I always have fun in these debates. He called me a baby so many times when he was just spitting the dummy out constantly. That's just so funny. I think I can make a couple of good videos out of this one. Right,
oh, absolutely.
Let's get my super chats up. Ooh. Well, they keep changing the where the things are in the dashboard, and I can never find them anymore. We're going to update things and make them better, but you're not going to know where they are.
Yeah, we're not going to make it better, really.
No. It's like After Effects, right? I've spent months teaching myself all the keyboard shortcuts for After Effects. Like for opening up a new composition, getting a new solid, linking things together. Spent months so that I could be quicker doing it. And then last week they released an update that changed all the fucking shortcuts to try and make them more uniform. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. No.
Yeah, just leave them where they were. Damn it.
I just spent ages. Right, we've got Adrenochrome Surfer for €10. Says, thanks for the countless laughs, Craig. Love the show. Thank you very much. Alfred Brennan for $5. If the Earth is flat, how do you explain lunar eclipses? Flat Earth Aussie Jesus just tried to answer this the other day, and it's because there's a magic, invisible second sun. Now, Johnny, if there's an invisible thing, would that interact with light?
I think there's a key word that we're both missing, but we'll table that one and come back to that one.
Delcoast Man for $5 says, the government tells me not to eat rat poison. I guess that's a lie, like the shape of the Earth. Yeah, screw the government. Rat poison all the way. Use it like Parmesan on your bolognese. Please don't do that. Yeah. Truth Nerds, €2. Please do a Flat Earth Freedom of Information. FOIA, is that what that is? Freedom of Information thing? I don't think there's any official information about the Flat Earth, so I don't think we could do that. Sean Hutchinson for $1.99 says, Snowden is a hero, Flat Earth is dumb, two don't compare. Snowden has stood up for freedom of speech quite a lot. I wouldn't maybe call him a hero, but hey. High Plains Drafter for $2 says, ever invited CC, Chris from New York, to debate? Actually, Team Skeptic and I phoned him live. That was fun. He didn't seem very happy about it. But
because you called him after 8 o'clock, and he's old.
Oh yeah, that is right. But I don't want to get in the way of him and his wife arguing. So. And we've got Stringer News 1 for $2. Dude, I don't feel you being smart. Therefore, yeah, good one. Stringer News 1, massive shout out to you, dude. You've been such a big supporter of the channel since I started. Thank you. It's always amazing to see you here. Lord Luminous Pooh, who changed his name because of me, for $5 says, I have an epileptic friend that works at pizza place. I call him Little Seizures.
Jesus Christ. I don't know which one's worse. Him telling the joke or me laughing at it.
Oh my god. He says, I'm going to hell. Thank you, Lord Luminous Pooh. Philosopher Little Seizures. Philosopher King Gamer for $5 says, if this Flerf doesn't believe everything he hasn't observed, then why does he believe we're under an ice dome that he hasn't observed? Oh, because they're hypocrites, basically.
No, it's called special reasoning.
Special pleading, yeah, that's right, yeah. Like, they are the ones that think they're special with knowledge, like, that no one else knows. It's clear. Alan Bepu for $5 Canadian. Joe, we can measure the size and distance to the moon using radar. A flat earther told me radar doesn't exist yesterday. Yeah.
Wonder what those things are on battleships.
Yeah, or how cops get you with speeding tickets.
Yeah, or how they land airplanes and make sure they don't crash into each other.
Drums and paints, €15. Fight, please ask every person who brings up something like trust your senses, how tall they are, how much they weigh, and how much more volume they have without referencing any scientific tools. Yeah, a flat earther told me last week that the best tool for making measurements is your eyes. Johnny, take off your glasses for me.
No, because I wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah, same here. Where'd everybody go?
Exactly.
NANA for $6.66. Hail Satan. Why is there semen on the poop deck? Hail Satan. There's always semen on the poop deck. It just happens.
I used to play a bar called the Poop Deck.
Yeah? Nice.
That was fun.
Elf Brennan for $2 says, translation to his argument is nuh-uh. I agree. That's pretty much all we brought. Drew P. Wiener for £2. Stop with the word salad and just show one proof. Just one. Do you forget that I'm talking to flat earthers?
Look, so I know there's some people in there that are criticizing the fact that I didn't hammer him for proof. That's not my job.
No.
Okay, that's not my job as a moderator, to hammer anybody for anything. My job as a moderator is to make sure that that both interlocutors stay on subject as much as possible, allowing a little bit of latitude here and there so they can build up a repertoire, build up their arguments. But it is not my point to sit there and hammer them for anything other than, I can ask clarifying questions, which I believe I did. I can also make clarifying points, which I believe I did. So yeah, I don't have to. It's not my job. That's Craig's job to hammer him for proof. Now, if it gets to a point where it's, hey, where's the proof, where's the proof, where's the proof, then yes, I do step in and ask clarifying questions, which I did.
Yeah. I think James from Modern Day Debate should watch Johnny on how to do a moderation. You're excellent. A Madman for £5 says, I can find north with a watch. Explain that on a flat earth. You mean a compass watch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rodent, no last name for $2. Please define the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's just a big picture of Bob Nadell's face, actually. Well, actually, if you search on the Urban Dictionary, the Dunning-Kruger effect is also known as the Riley-Nadell effect. Thanks to MCToon. Jeff A. Kaz, $10 says, Flerfs always going to say the gyroscope is sensitive to light. If you put it in a completely darkened room and it still picked up the 15 degree per hour drift, would it change their mind? No, they just claim the aether. Stringer News 1, $5. Any 5-year-old will get an answer suitable for a 5-year-old. That's not proof that adults behave like 5-year-olds. No, the flat earther I just had on is proof that adults behave like 5-year-olds.
See, there was a point right there that I wanted to interject, but I didn't. I was hoping you would have picked this one up, but I wanted to interject and ask that if he went and saw that if when he went to the doctor or his shaman, if his doctor or shaman was 5 years old. And if the answer,
lie on the
when
bed,
it came back,
we'll have a look.
Right, when the answer came back as no, then the follow-up question would have been, why not?
Alright. Well, I loved how he kept making claims and instantly going, I never made a claim. But you'd literally
You just made a claim.
Yeah. Stringer News 1, $2 says, if you have CGI with sides of 1, 1, and 1... No, wait. Kirk B for $5 just wanted to say you are awesome. PhD Tony is awesome. Rock on. Yeah, PhD Tony is actually my spirit animal. Also my Patronus, it turns out. Who knew? Who's your Patronus, Johnny?
I don't know. I am my own Patronus, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. Just make more of you.
It's kind of scary.
Expecto Patronus. Right, you do the horror podcast. I'll do this one. Wait, making more of myself would be great. I need a nap. I'll just make one of myself to do the dishes and I'll go for a nap.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. But then what if he wants a nap and I have to do... Who's going to be... Okay, stop. No, don't. Verpra for 10 New
Now
Zealand
we got
dollars.
into multiplicity.
Yeah.
we got into the movie. There's going to be a copy of a copy. And
yeah.
Copy team.
We are... Viper for 10 New Zealand dollars says, we are all CGI. Dave the Kitten is behind it all. Believe me, bro. Dave the Kitten is in charge. of this house right now. He's kind of taken over. He bullies the other cats. It's quite funny. Where is he? Oh. Come here, Dave. Come here, buddy boy. Let's say hello. Oh, sleepy kitten. Here's Dave. Say hi, Dave. Oh, you having a scratch? You met Dave before, Johnny?
I have not. Oh, I saw pictures.
He's the coolest little buddy.
Kicking his own face.
Yeah. He's just so happy to just be held and look around. Oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay, next one we've got.
That's the best proof right there that the Earth is not flat.
Yeah, cats would have pushed everything off of it, 100%.
Knocked everything off the side, yeah.
Philosopher Gaming, $5. Does evidence make a validly structured argument sound? Yes. Yes, it does. Therefore, the globe model being supported by evidence is sound. Flerf loss. You just did logic there. Lost on them. Elf Brennan, $2. Does the flat earth baby need his bottle? Yeah, he went to get it when he rage quit. Syed Ahmed, $4.99. Dying on the Kansas City is flat as a pancake joke article means instant fail. Everything else you say tonight is meaningless. I love the fact that the author of that article has emailed me and been like, I've heard flat earthers are using my joke article as proof the earth is flat. Can you stop that shit, please?
No, that's the problem. You know, everybody thinks, oh, I'm gonna make like the Duckman Ben 10 or whatever the fuck that guy was.
Yeah.
Talking, oh, look at these trolls, great trolls. Like, no, they don't see it as a troll, right?
Yeah.
So, somewhere down the line, I know I did it too. Okay, so I get it. I did it too with a Room 901 troll, but somewhere someone down the line is like, no, that's real, bro. That's real.
Oh my god. Where did we get to? Vincent Tremblay for $5 Canadian. There's tons of evidence of a flat Earth. It's just all terrible. Correct? Yeah. Lloyd Christmas for $5 Canadian. I cited a joke article to back up my claim, but I'm going to pretend I'm not embarrassed and quadruple down because I'm not disingenuous at all. Yeah, him calling me intellectually dishonest was one of the most ironic things that I've ever heard. Amazing. Michael C for $5. I love how flat earthers come to these debates, but then they never pay attention when they aren't talking. No, they just wait for their time to talk and then waffle on for ages, bring up about 10 points so I forget what they originally said, which is why I interrupt. That's why I interrupt, right? Is because a flat earther will start talking and then not fucking stop and then change subject in what they're saying. So I need to be like, no, stop. Just talk about the one thing before you go on to another nonsense like tennis being CGI or something. Elf Brennan for $2, trying to bake a cherry pie, Joe. Yeah, cherry picking all the way. And another $2, cite the source that Buzz Aldrin quote, Joey. Yeah, Buzz Aldrin did not say we never went to the moon. He was talking about going back to the moon. He spent that entire interview talking about how he went to the moon. Connell Silver for $2.
Wait, but he said we didn't go.
Yeah, but context is a thing, right? Connell Silver for $2. If NASA are liars, why are NASA docs as proof? Yeah, good point. Oh, and that article he brought up about the firmament. That's talking about Mars, actually. I was looking it up when we were talking, and I wanted to bring it up, but I forgot. That article about the firmament is talking about radiation measurements on Mars. So he brought up an article about Mars as evidence that there's a firmament on Earth.
Uh-oh.
Good job.
Mars.
Yeah.
Proven.
No, Johnny, I know what's going to happen, right? Musk is going to get his people to Mars, right? And then in 300-400 years' time, there are a group of people going, it's all fucking lies. We never came here on a ship from Earth. Earth. Mars is clearly flat. Look, we live in a dome. Because they actually will live in domes, you know?
Well, they might actually, I'm going to say they might actually live in a dome, but...
Yeah. And a flat earther was telling me the other day that there was a book about Elon Musk being president of Mars, but it's actually like a translation for leader, comes out as Elon in a book, and it's not a prophecy about Elon Musk going to Mars.
You sure about that?
It might be. Who knows?
I think Dune is a prophecy.
I reckon. But Elon Musk, if you're watching, because of course you are, right? Can I come to Mars with you? Because frankly, I'm fucking done with this planet. Please? Connell Silver for
He's
$2.
shaking his head no right now.
Yeah, he's like, fuck off, Craig. $2. Someone tell Joe that tent isn't a metaphor. I don't think he knows what any metaphors mean. A for Brennan for $2. The Bible isn't an argument, kiddo. No, especially when they don't know the actual translations. Alison for $2. You know my question. Finish him. That was one of my 3 main points. That all navigation is based on a globe. He went nuh-uh. Because ancient cultures, which still use the stars to navigate, which is based on the globe. Fred Frackle for $5. Joe, you're killing me. I was convinced the great city of Chicago was Flerf-free. Now we're no better than goober-filled Green Bay, Wisconsin. Fighting talk there. Fuck YouTube, $5. The atmosphere isn't the only thing that's too thick. The average Flerf skull is too thick. Correct. If they were dropped on the heads of a child, it wouldn't have made much difference. A for Brennan, another $5. Oh, dude, you've sent loads tonight. Thank you. Where does the light from the moon come from, if not the sun, Joe? Oh, yeah, I should have asked that one.
It's a nightlight. Don't you remember?
Obviously. It's self-illuminating with craters.
Yeah, in a nightlight.
Amazing. Stringer News 1, $5. The HP sauce bottles on the table don't disappear bottom first. Looks like a fail, Joe. Yeah, look at this picture of it setting. This video of this thing set. No, Joe, that didn't set. It just went backwards. It needs to disappear behind the horizon to set. He didn't know what setting meant, did he?
How do we get a horizon on a flat Earth?
Magic. Yeah. It would literally just be an indistinguishable blur.
Yeah.
Connell Silver for $5. Craig, Joe. Craig, your experiment isn't valid because of lack of scale. Also, Joe, anything that works on a small scale will also work large scale. Yeah, he did say that. You're right. Alison for $2. No angular size change in Oz, so he lied. No, he says the angular size change happens, and then when I challenged him on that, he said, I didn't say the angular size change happens.
So what I don't understand is in his opening argument when he did the whole fist thing, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And I brought that up to him.
Yeah. Angular size changing. Oh, I didn't say that. Yes, you fucking did. They hate this.
That's exactly what you said.
They hate this model that I made. They hate it. Because it takes perspective into account. That's what it's based on. And at no point does the sun fucking disappear. And like I said, I did it down as low as 100 miles, and you can still see it. Stringer News 1. Oh, wait, no. Raven 0 for $2. Joe have reached new level of stupidity. Yeah, he didn't do very good, did he? So, Philosophy Gaming, $5. Why can you cite Dubay when I can't cite MCToon? Technical knockout. Went down harder than McGregor. Beautifully illustrated the double standards of this lying piece of shit. You just described flat earthers, really. Stringer News 1 for $5. Sorry, Joe, but rambling on about conspiracy theories does nothing to even suggest that the Earth is flat. No evidence, no progress. The Sun Express at $5 says the pound replica experiment confirms gravity. Absolutely, that was one of my points that I brought up. It confirms Einstein's predictions of photons of light leaving the surface of the Earth that would literally lose energy due to gravity. And you can see this by a blue shift being induced into it because it ends up having a lower wavelength than when it started. So it induces a shift in the the wavelength of the light, so the color that you can see. And it matches the predictions of gravity. But they think predictions are assumptions, and that's not scientific somehow. I for Brennan for $2 says, bye, baby Joey. Yeah, he ran away. Balthazar228 for $4.99 says, water always finds its level. Droplets would like a word. Yeah, I don't like using the droplets of water argument because it is kind of straw man in their position. They're saying that large bodies of water can't display convexity, which is false because, tides are a thing, but, Ministry of Wong think.
Well, they say, but hang on a second. They say large bodies of water at rest, and there's never a large body of water that's ever at rest.
No, because even lakes have tides,
Right.
I mean, even a glass of water would have a tide, technically, very small, but...
Right.
Ministry of Wrong Think, $4.99. How does rain work on a flat Earth if gravity doesn't exist, yet water is denser than air? Magic. A for Brennan, $5. Joey has so many straw man, straw is coming out of his ears. Yeah, he could build a bunch of scarecrows. Syed Ahmed, $4.99. Hope you were playing bingo tonight. Joe brought all the stupid. I ran out of bingo cards, actually. Michael C, $5. Every flat earth argument equals I'm too dumb for math, or physics, basically. Connell Silverfer, $5. This whole night, Joe's been a typical flat earther. Dodge, duck, divert. When always fails, you can always fall back on nuh-uh. Yeah, see what happened whenever I asked him a direct question. He just did not like that at all.
Craig, I just got a brilliant idea for your next video.
Go on.
You need to do the Flat Earth edition of the Right Fred Said song, I'm Too Sexy.
I'm too dumb for my maths, too stupid for my physics, too moronic for science. Yeah, I can do that.
Yep.
Although I did promise my audience I wouldn't sing again. My Dennis 787B for 38 Hong Kong dollars says another pathetic Flerf, 100%. Draco Fire 500 Japanese yen. Flushkin Gaming is committing identity theft. He copied my badge, my profile picture, and my wrench. Stop him before it's too late. And then Philosopher King Gaming says Draco Fire cosplay is not identity theft. Alison for $2 says 777 people watching a flatty get killed. Yeah, I should go into hiding once again. I did see it peak at about 880 people, which was awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Draco Fire for 200 Japanese yen. This has gone far beyond cosplay. Expect a lawsuit. Philosopher Gaming and Draco Fire. I will host the fight. Alison, $2 says give him my offer to learn to fly for free. You'll have to. He ran away. A for Brennan, $2. Answer Craig's question, you child. Again, he ran away. Connell Silver for $5. Joe claims to be an Apple technical expert. The only expertise he has is using an Apple piece of shit working for Burger King. Big X to doubt his claim. I don't doubt that he could be an Apple technical expert because I've spoken to some of the Apple geniuses and they are anything but. Also, Apple fucking sucks. Like, I hate every single Apple product. Fuck off, Apple. Sorry.
I like oranges. I
like oranges, yeah. Petermas Prime for $5. Just to confirm, Joe, if you're an Apple expert, then what kernel is the Apple OS based on? I might send him that message in Facebook if he hasn't blocked me yet. String News 1 for $2. Cat Earth 42%. We are number 2. We are number 2. Wait, no, we're not. Ew. Alison for $2 says stay hydrated, get plenty of sleep. Fred Farkle for $5 says sincere apologies to Dave the Kitten for calling him Mike on Saturday night on Modern Day Debates. More Dave, less flattered, make the world a better place. I'm going to try and get Dave on every stream because he is the most awesome little kitty. It's really good because he's growing up with my little 7-year-old daughter who basically just, picks him up and carries it around like a doll. He's very happy and to be held. He doesn't mind because he's just so, all right, I'm going over here now. Then she'll go and put him in a box and put a cover over him and like, all right, I guess I'm doing this. So he's just so happy to just be held and carried around and he's like, yeah, whatever, I don't mind. Do you like cats or are you more of a dog person?
It's not that I don't like cats, I'm highly allergic.
You can get hypoallergenic ones.
Yeah, they say that, but those are just bald, weird, lizard-looking ones.
Yeah, they're not nice. For me, it's not a home without cats. I've got 4 cats, and I love them so much. Even when I've got a king-size bed that my wife and I sleep on, and one cat can take up 3/4 of it somehow. It's amazing. Yeah. Raven Zero for $2 says the plot hole, the place where holes have plots.
All the time, all the plots, all the holes.
I guess so. But please do go and subscribe to the plot hole. Link in the description. I'd see it as a personal favour. Thank you. Rachel Daniels, who is probably my biggest supporter on Twitter. So thank you for your help promoting my stuff, Rachel. Gave me a $3 sticker. Thank you. Stringer News 1 for $2 says a moderator's job should be to slow down neutrons. A moderator's, yeah, if you're talking about nuclear reactors, I guess. NA for $6.66. The only facts here is DC sucks and Marvel rules.
I'm still waiting for that debate, Craig.
I'm Batman.
I have the.
Yeah, well, I'm ready. Find me an opponent, and I will do it. Well, I might have Batman stand in for me, but
That's fine. I've got your opponent.
Cool. I'll check with Batman if he's free. I'm sure he will be. Well, Bat Craig, as we call him. Luke Stevens for $10 says, hey man, your channel is my guilty pleasure, especially the vids on Natalie. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. I do have a new Natalie video in the works, but it's about 7 down the line. So you might see it in about 6 months, who knows. Connell Silverfur for $2 says, Joe couldn't even call fallacies correctly. No, he could not. All he had was fallacies, yet he couldn't call any of them right. And that's all we have for tonight, guys. Your support via Super Chats and memberships is constantly mind-blowing. I can never say thank you enough for giving me the ability to do what I love to do full-time. It honestly means the world to me. I know not everyone's able to support financially. If you want to help the channel and you can't support with a Super Chat or membership, the best way to help my channel is to share what I do on Twitter and Facebook. I get more than 60% of my traffic coming from social media. So the more that you guys share my stuff on social media, the more reach I have, the more people we get in debates, and the more chance of having new flat earthers come up. I did appreciate Joe coming on tonight. He was someone I hadn't spoken to before, and at least he tried to give evidence. I mean, this is the notes that I made. It was just a bunch of strawmans that he brought up. But it's nice to actually be able to make notes in a debate, which I haven't done for a while. Johnny, any final thoughts?
Oh man, I had a lot of fun. You know, it's kind of my bread and butter, keeping you guys in line. So yeah, I'm happy to do it again.
Thank you very much, Johnny. I really do appreciate it. And guys, once again, please give a subscribe to the Plot Hole. Link is in the description. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll be back in the next couple of days with part 2 of my level debunk, and part 3, which will be out the next week, will be featuring Mrs. Fight as the main presenter. So look forward to that. For now, remember that stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat.